welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, the place about games, friends, and getting better. Your regular host, Ben Hansen, is on paternity leave for one more week. In the meantime, I'm Kyle Bosman, your substitute host. We are joined this week by Kelsey Lewin.
Hi, that's me.
Jenna Stoeber.
Hello, it's me.
Leo Vader.
Hello, real quick, I just want to say that on the latest New Show Plus, we did change everything about MinnMax. It's now called HumanMax, and this is the HumanMax show, and instead of games, friends, and getting better, it's don't sweat the small stuff. But I should have told you that beforehand. There'll be a time of transition. It's fine.
Great. The HumanMax Show.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Thank you.
Well,
and Kyle Hilliard.
I can't believe Ben will be done raising his child this week. That's insane. I'm still working on it, and he knocked it out in 2 months. It's like mind-blowing.
I mean, that's why it's
Our fearless
MinnMax.
leader.
He knows how to get in there and just stats that baby up real
MinnMax
fast.
the child.
Yeah, that's nice.
Leo, can I ask, is HumanMax spelt with one N or two?
Two still. So it's kind of recognizable in keeping the same Minnesota connection, but also expanding it for the whole human race. So it's not quite so exclusive.
Okay, to Minnesota.
Can you spell it?
HuMinnMax.
M-I-N.
Okay.
The question was the second vowel there. That's what I was curious about. Don't sweat the small stuff is the catchphrase?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're capitalizing the M in min still, but it's got a HU in front of it. Almost like the element hydrogen.
So if I can be honest with you right now, like frankly, just completely dryly honest, I think this is a bad change.
Okay.
Well, you should have spoke up before we made the change. I mean, it's done.
You're welcome to expand on that if you want.
I kind of think like MinnMax was a good brand. I think you had something really nice going there, and I don't think it was actually that exclusive. I don't think you were excluding anyone from a show called MinnMax.
I just think you should continue expanding it, and it should be Detroit become human MinnMax.
Oh, okay. Is that not going back to being kind of regionally based?
Well, we're just adding cities and places, so now we've got Detroit and Minnesota, and we'll get there. We'll get all of them in there at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Keep expanding. Because, I mean, honestly, like, we have a decent amount of subscribers, but, like, if we don't have 7 billion, there's still work to be done. That's kind of my philosophy.
I get that. Okay. Cool. On today's episode of the HumanMax Show, we're still playing Baldur's Gate. I know I like you clicked on this video, right? It's weird that they're doing 2 Baldur's Gate 3 episodes back to back, but it's just, this is a show about what everybody's playing. And we're still playing that game. We'll steer the conversation into new and interesting ways. But yeah, that's where we're leading with. We'll also talk about Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Seasons and Shotgun King, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of Hunt the Showdown. But firstly, let's dig back into Baldur's Gate 3. We have a few people here on the show who were not here last week, and so unfortunately, the first part of any conversation of Baldur's Gate 3 is discussing who your character is and what their deal is. So, Kelsey, can you tell us what your character is?
Yeah, so mine's really kind of more a foil to my partner's character. We designed them kind of jointly. So I feel like, on their own, my character, Madam Doctor, is not that exciting. But she's is it Drow or Dro?
Drow, I think.
Drow?
I believe Drow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have never played D&D, so this is an experience for me.
This is great.
Yeah, or at least I've never played a real, I did like a 2-hour campaign one-off thing once many years ago, but I've essentially never played D&D. So my character is very high charisma, a little evil, but mostly just very smart and high charisma and kind of a and her deal is basically just that she's bringing her idiot boyfriend along on this adventure, which is my partner. Not that he's the idiot boyfriend necessarily, but his character
he's
is
role playing.
He's role playing as Dorbo, the bongo playing bard, and Dorbo is not very smart. He thinks he can talk to animals. I don't believe him. And that's kind of the extent of our relationship. But he's very attractive, and so I keep him around, and he just kind of plays the bongos, and he's like, "This is a song. This will help us." And I'm like, playing the bongos is not a song, but
wow.
Anyways, I don't feel like I'm the super creative, and this was a struggle for me. I was like, I want to come up with something cool and fun and that'll make this thing funny, and I feel like since we're doing it together, it comes out that way, but I feel like designing one character that's fun and interesting is hard. It's hard.
It's actually what I love about Baldur's Gate 3 is that, like, okay, so you said you're coming in as a newcomer. You don't really dig D&D too much, but like you put effort into developing your character. And like in a series, so like they put out some data this week, right? About like how many people created their characters versus used one of their pre-designed ones, right? And it's the vast majority of people are making their own Baldur's Gate 3 characters. And like when you compare that to Mass Effect about like how many people just picked a default shepherd, you know what I mean? It's crazy. Like the people who have purchased Baldur's Gate 3 and are playing it are making their own people. And it's like cool to hear somebody like Kelsey, right? It was like, yeah, normally I don't, but for this game, what is it about this game? What made you really want to put effort into the character you're building?
Well, I felt like it was almost like a faux pas not to. Like it would be doing some sort of disservice to its D&D roots to like not try. And so like, yeah, it was hard for me, but it just felt like something I needed to reach inside myself and do. And even if that took me, an hour and a half in the character creator, and I was not like, I feel like I'm satisfied with our duo of people. And I feel like I don't know that I would have been satisfied with like the level of thought into my character if she was alone. Does that make sense? Like it felt like a, I don't know. It's an extension of how D&D works probably too, right? Like I say that knowing not very much about it, but just like it's much more fun in a social setting. And like, how does my character play off of your character rather than, I have alone created this incredible character who will
it depends on the
great
player.
And interesting. What's that?
It depends on the player, Kelsey, is what I'll say.
All right.
Is that, yeah, I think a lot of people come to it for the social aspect, but if you've played enough games with like strangers or quasi-strangers, you will inevitably come against somebody who's like, my character's a cool lone wolf and he hates all of you and he's super good at everything. It's just like, all right, well, have fun playing D&D with yourself.
That's how like, so I, again, didn't really do much D&D, but I did do like, I'm going to throw myself out here now. I did like message board role playing when I was younger,
yes!
Nice.
Like 11, 12 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's very much how all the characters were designed when I was 11 and 12 and role playing on the boards of Neopets. So I'm a little sad that people are carrying that into their adult D&D campaigns, but
Yeah, it happens. You play with all types, and I think the extent to which people want to play in a social sense varies. I think this has probably changed since RPG video games have gotten to be so good, because now those people can just play the game where they are pre-programmed to be the chosen one.
FF16, yeah, that's already there for them.
Yeah, and that's nice. It's nice that they get that, and that people who want the social aspect of D&D get the social aspect.
Leo, who is your character?
She is an elf druid, which is a type of character I haven't played before, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. Shape-shifting, you get like 4 shapes from the jump. Ooh. I'm still learning how to use those. You can turn into a badger, and a giant badger, and burrow into the ground, and so I've been able to use that to like pop up from behind a wall, and you pop up in the middle, and you have a chance to like knock people prone. But then, of course, you've used your main action for the turn, so I'm still figuring out how to like play off of that with the other characters, because the big advantage to me is to like cover a lot of ground, but then you're away from your team.
How big should I imagine a giant badger is?
Like 3 guys huddled up. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. What's her name? That's important to me.
Farron.
Oh,
I was like, I kind of want to go a goofy name, but I feel like I'm going to get tired of that in 4 hours. So why don't I try and figure out like a lore accurate name?
Oh, so you went straight up, you like looked at a book?
No, I just combined different syllables until one sounded like a name.
Yeah, it does. That absolutely sounds like a druid name to me.
Yeah. Damn.
Thank you so much.
It's wild to me that druids, you get a thing that allows you to, well, what I perceive as kind of break the landscape, as like being able to dig and pop out at other areas. That feels to me like such a wild capacity that the game hides under being one animal in one class. That's wild.
Yeah, my most D&D versed friend really loves this game for how much he feels like he can break it, and I do love that they have those kind of fun things in there without like so much concern for what if this is the most powerful thing. It's like, let's just have a bunch of things that seem like the most powerful thing.
Are you playing with people?
Not yet.
Okay. How and so you are also not familiar with D&D as like a practice?
Not mechanically. Like, I've done role-playing stuff like that plenty, but I didn't have much experience with 5e, so I felt like I was learning the combat from the start. But truly, like, this game was intimidating to me for that reason, of feeling like, wow, mouse and keyboard, full D&D, top-down, and it was having a hard time. I was having a hard time really, like, getting into it, getting immersed into it, and the switch flipping was trying it with controller, which people have vouched for Larian Studios controller support before, but I kind of slipped my mind. But the controller support for this game is fantastic, and obviously because it's coming to console, there's a good reason.
That's actually how I'm playing it too, because
nice.
I'm doing split screen co-op, which is, I gotta say, it's a little buggy, unfortunately. We're making it work, but there will be times where only one side of the screen is showing anything.
Oh no!
And it usually comes back after a good 10 seconds, but it's a little buggy. But it's the only way, at least as far as I can tell, the only way to do that is with two controllers. One person can't be on the keyboard, even if you're both using a computer with the keyboard hooked up. But yeah, I found the controller support to be pretty good.
Yeah, it changes the UI the second you press a button, and it almost seems like a cleaner UI. Like there's fewer things on it at once.
The font's bigger. Yeah, it's weird.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
You said one thing. You said you've done role-playing stuff like that, but without rules. And I got to know what you're talking about.
There's this game called Deck Quest I've talked about before that's like ultra simplified. Here's D&D for people who don't even want to learn a game and just get it immediately. I do love Deck Quest for that. And also, of course, I was reminded when Kelsey brought up message board role-playing about, in my childhood, on the forums for the Pendragon series of books, the role-playing threads there was one that was like the Tavern. I'm sure every message board had something like this, where somebody started a thread called the Tavern and said, pull up and order a drink, and then people would message, reply to the thread, 1 beer, please, barkeep, and then make conversations with each other, and then, asterisk swigs mead and stuff like that.
There's no rules. There's no rules in message board role playing. It's very. And then you just kind of get these moments where people just collectively decide that whatever someone who is role-playing one of those lone wolf ultimate badass kind of characters, like that whatever they did, just no. Like we just reject that happened completely because there are no rules. They're like, so like truly people can type whatever they want. They could be like, yeah, my guy comes in and kills everyone with a samurai sword. We're all just like, no, that didn't happen. We're moving on.
They call that fail RP.
Do they call that?
Yeah. I was getting into a Red Dead role-playing server a few months ago, and that was like in the big list of rules was like, fail RP, here's what defines it.
Cool. I love to learn this stuff. Kyle Hilliard, what is your character's deal?
Oh, they don't exist. Pass.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay. Do you think you'll end up playing, or are you just like a hard pass?
When it comes to PS5, I will from a sense of obligation, will give it a shot. But I just don't think it's going to be my thing, and that's okay. I've come to terms with that.
Yeah. What's your wife's character?
I don't know, and I think she's done playing too. It didn't click for her either. So we're just not a Baldur's Gate household, and I apologize to everyone for that.
Well, I love it. It's funny. It's something Jacob mentioned last week is the sense of obligation, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That I guess just enough too much people are talking about it. Like its scores are so high. Like there's some sort of threshold where it's like, oh well, I'm not into that stuff, but I guess I'll pick it up.
Yeah, obviously those, even at face, if I look at it like in a screenshot or gameplay footage, there are certainly those games that I've looked at before and been like, I don't think this is for me. And then I actually go and play it. And I'm like, oh, no, this totally works for me. This one is standing out. Yeah. And this could totally be that. But I suspect I will want to have some opinion when it comes to Game of the Year discussions. So at this point in my life, the Baldur's Gate that I have played the most is still Dark Alliance on PlayStation 2.
This game is trying to make me not get into it, but I'm powering through. I did this early dungeon where you meet the skeleton at the end and you get this really cool amulet. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting ability. I want to see what I can do with that.
You're just going to call that guy a skeleton?
You're right. I'm sorry. What would you call him?
I'd call him a straight up mummy.
Okay. It's kind of a mummy. Yeah. You talking about Withers?
Right.
Yeah, love Withers.
So great mummy.
Yeah,
we all love. I'm walking out to the exit after the big combat encounter and everything. Not with Withers, great guy. And my cat steps on the quick load button and jumps me back to the start.
Why was your cat
that
playing?
Dungeon.
That was your first mistake.
True. But I was like, okay, I guess maybe I'll do this later. I don't want to do it again. And then I do the controller thing a few hours later, and I'm like, okay, I want to get back into this. Let me do that because I really do want that amulet. And then I get there, get the amulet, leave, do a couple other things, quit. Later come back and realize that it never autosaved for that whole session. I lost like 2.5 hours of progress. And if I play again, I'm going to have to go into that dungeon for the third time to get that damn amulet. The mummy returns style.
Because like what is I'm presuming you have to do one combat scenario, right? Like you have to do all the way through that fight again, right?
Yeah.
You got to like go through some crazy traps all over again. And obviously it won't take 2.5 hours your second time, but it'll take some effort, right?
Yeah, 'cause I'm super far away from it, and I backtracked a long way to get to it. But it's like, oh, I don't want to go do that, but then I keep seeing opportunities I could have used that amulet, and it's like, God, I'm just gonna kick myself every time I see that unless I go and do it.
I will say that I haven't been able to play nearly as much as I want to of this game yet because every combat scenario is like a whole thing that you are sitting down. It's comparable to like a boss fight in another game is just like every encounter here.
D&D, baby.
Yeah. For better or worse.
I think that's really cool, but I also like, at least lately, have been gaming in 30 to 45 minute sessions, and that's just like not enough to guarantee you will do anything in this game. So
especially co-op. Yeah, you would not make a lot of progress playing this game for 30 hours. And something I think about.
Yeah, I am still, I think it being co-op actually is going to help me keep powering through it, because I think if I were playing this game alone, and especially if I ran into that like you did, Leo, I think I would have just been like, well, it was cool to experience this for a little bit. I can't do this. And I would have set it down. But I think having like a person to play it with and sort of a goal, and to like, okay, we can sit down for an hour and a half right now and we can do something, is going to motivate me to get further in it than I think I would alone.
Yeah, I put it on easy mode for the sole purpose of trying to make the fights not as long.
That's smart.
Because fights are fine, but a little over long.
After our discussion about saves coming, I flipped my stance and I was like, actually, I'm just going to save scum this entire game, top to bottom, end to start. If I think I'm going to get into a combat encounter, I quick save. If I get into a combat encounter, I quick load. I'm going to be so picky and choosy with the actual fights that I go through with, because they are a lot, and they are long, and they're hard. Like, the combats are, I think, a lot harder than just like an actual D&D combat where you really only have to worry about doing one thing with one person. Then this one, there's always so many people. Like, there's always like twice as many people as you've got in your party. And a lot of them are higher level or more powerful. And it's just like, it can be a little overwhelming. So I'm just like, quick load, quick save, quick load, out. No, thank you.
Yes. Early on, I got in a fight and I was like 20 minutes into it, and I felt like I was less than a quarter of the way through, and I was like, I'm just going to play something else.
Yeah.
You know what's awful is like doing 3 damage. You know what I mean? I don't know any other video game where I can only do 3 damage. You know, it just hurts sometimes. And that was a spell slot. I wasted a spell slot on this.
Yeah, I'm keeping in mind that I'm going to probably circle back when I'm like way OP, which is something you can't really do.
I like that idea.
Yeah, you can't really do that in real D&D because those encounters will just disappear. But in this one, I'm like, I'm gonna have to fight like 8 hobgoblins. No, I'm gonna come back when I'm level 15, and I'm gonna sweep with one giant AoE fire spell, and then get whatever rewards that are way too paltry now for this combat.
So one thing I wanted to talk about today in regards to Baldur's Gate 3 is 2 questions. One, to the panel. What do you wish that more games would adopt from Baldur's Gate 3? What do you wish more, like, what do you want the influence of Baldur's Gate 3 to be in other future games that you might see?
I mean, I kind of like the same thing out of it that I think I get out of like a Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom thing, which is just that like the things you are given in the world don't just have the one video game use that you expect them to. So like, you know, if there is fire, like that fire can be used to, like, you can light something you're holding on fire, you can spread the fire, like it's not just like red barrel explodes when you shoot it. It's like this fire can do all kinds of things. I don't expect every game to do that, but like it's a more fun playground when you get to, like, you know, when you see something like fire or like a thing of poison or something like that, and you're like, I know that there's more than just I need to like avoid walking in the fire, or that, you know, like I know that this can spread, I know that I can do multiple things with this. And I think it just makes games a little bit more toy-like when they give you that, and I like that.
There's a lot here that I like. One of the things that I'm enjoying most about Baldur's Gate is how rewarding it is for my dark curiosity. Because there have been multiple times when in this game I've been like, well, this seems like a horrible thing to do, so I'm definitely going to do it, and let's see what happens. This is a relatively early one. Let me think about which one I want to spoil. You can go, this is extremely funny, and I did this on stream. You can go to the goblin camp that you get to really early, and there will be a priest there to a dark goddess who's like the goddess of pain. And if you talk to him, he'll be like, can I whip you for my goddess? She likes that. That's her thing. And if you're like, yeah, okay, I guess whip me. And then if you
gotta be confident with a question like that. You can't, you know.
Yeah, I wasn't, but I still did it. You can go and basically you'll give you options of how you want to react. You can either like stop immediately, or basically at any time you can stop. Or if you go through the 3 rounds, you can like perform as though it hurts, or as if you're really tough and it doesn't hurt at all. And if you pretend that it doesn't hurt at all and you're a hardcore character, you'd get no reward. But if you're like, oh, that hurts, oh no, goddess of pain, why? You get a permanent buff. You get a permanent reward that is like really good, actually. It gives you a permanent blessing, so that if you drop below like 30% health, you get a +2 bonus on attacks and wisdom saving rolls, which is a kind of a great bonus. And
so the troll goddess actually existed and then actually blessed you?
Yeah, it was legit. She was the goddess of pain. And this dude was like, yeah, I'm a priest of the goddess of pain. You did a great job being in pain. And the goddess loved how much this hurt you. And so I just got a vote. And like the game does that pretty consistently, where it's like, this seems like some really dodgy surgery that I should not undertake. And then it changes your character permanently and you get this cool bonus. And I really like that.
Yeah, hard to roleplay an atheist in this world. You're getting a lot of proof. I agree with what's been said so far. For sure. I would add the way that they handle dice rolls, I think, is really good. Plenty of games have that kind of random chance, even in like dialogue options of, you know, it's a 60% chance you'll persuade them or whatever. But having that kind of visualization that we all understand, and even just the die, you know, plus the modifiers and the opportunity to add the extra modifiers, like that all is really cool. But I think plenty of games could introduce some kind of just like visual element of that act of chance happening, which adds a little bit of a thrill, especially with these like tight sound effects that are really good.
That is such a good point, because I just think of all the times that, like, you know, you think you have you have like a 70% shot, but like you lose it like 3 times or something, and you just feel like, what? There's no way that could have happened. But if I saw dice rolls happening, and each one was like a, you know, added up to 60, like, you know, you had to pass 70 or whatever, I don't know. But they all like added up to the numbers that failed or something, I would be like, okay, I accept that a lot more than I randomly didn't get this 70% chance thing 3 times. Like,
right.
I would have loved that in like Disco Elysium or something.
I also like that you kind of gestured to, Leo, is that like it shows you the bonuses that you have, and it can also like you can apply bonuses in that moment. So like there are some bonuses or some spells that you can apply at the exact moment that you're doing the roll, which I really appreciate, because it's like I'm not always going to remember to have, I don't know, this weird buff bonus that D&D is just so full of. And so it's nice to not always have to remember to do that ahead of time. You can get to the screen where you need to roll, and you don't have to back out and be like, Bard, buff me. It will let you do it in that moment, which I really like.
Totally. On the note of the dice, has anybody noticed the karmic dice option in the settings?
Yes.
No?
So explain what karmic dice is.
The way it lays it out is that there's a natural balancing. If you are going to get a bunch of bad rolls in a row, they'll like give you some good ones, and it's on by default. You can turn it off and have totally natural rolls, but they like have that built-in, like Kelsey was saying, that sense of like distrusting that you're actually getting that. They have that built-in like balance to that.
That's fascinating, because that's something that, like, I mean, to Kelsey's point, this is something that games do secretly quite a lot, where they will put their thumb on the scale to make sure that you're still having a good time even when things are going poorly. So the fact that that is an explicit setting in this game is really funny.
And I'm sort of a degenerate in that I turned it off because I like, you know, I like the gamble. You know what I mean? I actually, bringing up the dice is such an interesting thing. If you haven't played the game, when you're in combat, you are rolling dice, you never see it, right? You just see the results. But almost every other decision or intense action that you try to do in the overworld outside of combat, you will see a D20. A 20-sided die, and you click on it and you see it roll, and then even if you get a bad number, it's still exciting. And sometimes it feels like a PopCap game, you know what I mean? Like it really just it's got like a little buzzes and whirs, and like there is like a true excitement to seeing. I mean, it makes no sense, right? You're playing this adventure game, you're in this world, you're in this fantasy realm, and then suddenly you're taken out to see a little toy device. But like to me it works. I really do like seeing that thing roll around.
That's a great point. It is a very meta UI element, and it is kind of inherently intrusive to like the delightful fantasy world that you're in, but it also does like highlight the D&D-ness of it. So I think it's a really interesting game choice.
Yeah, and I agree about wanting those low numbers. I haven't had the courage to turn off karmic dice yet, but I was just telling my DM in Dungeons and Dragons last night, I would love to roll more so that I can be bad more, instead of just doing the thing I want to do.
And I think a DM in real life would give you karmic dice. You know what I mean? Like I feel like what this game doesn't have is sympathy. You know what I mean? It doesn't have that like. When you look at your friend and you're like, I know you worked really hard on this character. I'm not going to kill you. The orc slips. You know what I mean? The game does not have any. The game will absolutely just kill you for anything.
Right.
The one thing I was thinking of is one thing that I love, and I love to see in this game. I'd love to see in other games is okay. So talking back about Withers, right? The skeleton in the dungeon that Leo has to go meet for the 3rd time.
Wait, is it a mummy or a skeleton?
It's a mummy.
Okay.
Mummy's a skeleton with clothes on.
Yeah. Humans are skeletons with clothes on, to be clear.
Whoa. We're getting somewhere.
The thing he gives you, right? It's a necklace that allows you to use the spell Speak to the Dead anywhere, right? It's a really nice like little benefit to get, right? Anything who's lying down on the ground dead, you can have a conversation with for the rest of the game. That's incredible. Think of like trying to write that. Think of like trying to like, okay, so for every NPC, I need to write dead dialogue. Yes, and branches of that. You know what I mean? I can't even imagine the task. Yeah. I appreciate the power of saying no to narrative threads in video games a lot. You know what I mean? So like there's like a dead guy like there, right? And like I know the game wants me to go talk to him. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. But I'm glad that you wrote all of that. Because it's like I'm like actually actively making this choice of like I don't care, but I do care that I know that this creature would speak if I talked to him, That kind of thing really does like help sell me into a world just knowing that all of the lore is there, the conversation is there, whether I ignore it or not.
I think that's
Totally.
Yeah, I think that's a very responsible take to have for massive games like this, where it's like sometimes you are in control of your own fun here. And it can be so easy to get overwhelmed with plot threads and be just like, I'm not that interested in this character, but I have to finish their story. Is like, I think having that built-in resilience to stuff you don't care about is essential.
Yeah,
definitely. And I would really love to tie it into Hitman really quick, as I always would. Somebody was complaining about Hitman having these goofy outfits where you can dress as a clown or a bird or whatever.
Wait, hold on. Who is somebody?
Somebody on Reddit that I hate read their thread and all the comments.
Okay.
But I was like, and this is what I said in my really wise response. I said, the existence of those suits, which you hate, it deepens your decision not to use them. It deepens you choosing to be a professional in this world. And I think that's true of all these systems games. It's like the stuff you don't want to interact with, that's still like you creating your own version of that story and that experience. And I think that's very rich and cool.
Did you write that in the Reddit thread or just think it?
I replied it. And if I may say, 3 upvotes.
Use it as your get a load of this later so that we can put a link in the comments. And,
All right. So next question. And
well,
Kyle,
hold on. I want.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to make you answer this next
more
question, but I want
pre-rendered
to hear
cutscenes of bugs crawling into eyeballs. Let's get it in more games.
Trailer. I think that was just a promotional trailer. I don't think
That was the opening
scene.
cutscene.
It's the opening cutscene.
Yeah.
Of one.
Oh, right when. Okay. Yeah. I guess
You have erased it from your memory. You do not want to remember it.
The game has a lot of eye stuff. That's what I'll say. The game has a surprising
You're
amount
not selling me.
of eye stuff.
Some things we don't want to see in a video game ever again, because that's that one for me. No more
more
eye
than
stuff.
enough for a lifetime. We're done.
It's Kyle. It's why I want to start with you for the next question. Is what do you wish Baldur's Gate 3 incorporated from other games? What do you think it's missing? What would you like to see it adopt? And I find this interesting from your perspective of someone who's like truly, not vibing with it.
Well, they certainly don't need to make a different game to appeal to me. That's a waste of time.
We're just talking wishes. What do you wish?
I don't know. I just struggle in general. I mean, certainly there are games that I love that do this, but it's like I don't like managing a group of people with menus and stuff like that. Like the XCOMs of the world, and that's just not my genre. I don't know. I need to play the game to decide what they could change to make it appeal to me more. And maybe I'll love it. Maybe I'll play it and I'll be like, this is great. What was I thinking? But
I'm imagining the patch note. It's like, what patch note would you see where you're like, oh, baby, I'm in now. That's what I needed to see this game do.
I mean, if they just wholesale turn it into an action game without too much menu navigation, remove the menus from Baldur's Gate 3.
I do feel like for me, not that I wish Baldur's Gate was like this or anything, but I find games like this that are on an actual grid like 100 times easier for my brain to understand than this very like you can move wherever kind of thing. And you like, I have no problem keeping track of like 18 Fire Emblem characters on a grid. I have a lot of problems keeping track of like 4 on an open field. That's harder for me. I don't wish it were different. I just don't have the I don't have the chops for it yet. I'm still learning those.
It kind of ties into my thing actually, is that the stealth mechanics in this game are so weird because like the vision cones of like you can see where people can see, right? It's like red splotches. It's like the stealth is very splotchy in this game. And I feel like something like a grid, you know what I mean? Something where it's just like the person can see here and in 2 seconds they'll be looking that way. You know what I mean? If anything, like sneaking around is just so insanely squiggly in this game. I feel, you know what I mean. It's really hard to get a grasp on it.
Yeah,
especially because sneaking around, if your group is following you, like the tail end of your group will just wander into the zone, and then the stealth is completely ruined. Like you got to remember to split up like that.
You got to go one at a time.
Yeah. More automation would be good.
Very bad at remembering to split my party, even when in moments it would obviously be the best thing to do. It's just hard. It's hard just to like take that moment and be like, actually, why don't you break off? And kind of to Kelsey's point, I do wish that there was some sort of graphic when you're in melee striking distance of someone, because I will often move a character really close and be like, did I do it? Is it close enough to hit with my sword or not? So that's the thing. I also wish there was just an AI control for the 3 other people on my team. I just want to click something on and let them... I just want to control my character. I am Sailor Blood Moon, and I just want to be Sailor Blood Moon. I do not want to be the other...
about Sailor Blood Moon.
The other 3 randos. I just want them to do their own thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. And seconded, like, just what resonates with me more personally is tactics versus turn-based. Like, if it's going to be turn-based, I prefer a tactical grid style thing where moves matter a little bit more. But short of that, like, anything more active in the turn-based combat. Like, I loved Like a Dragon's combat for the little twists it had where you still had to be paying attention. Even if you're auto-battling, you had to pay attention for those, like, QTEs. A little something like that would work better for me, but again, I get they're going for 5e combat and honoring that as accurately as possible, it seems.
I do love timing a button press with turn-based combat. That's like key to my heart, you know, Mario RPG, that kind of thing.
Yeah, even if you could just add 1 damage to it, if you just press circle at the right time or something, that would be pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that come from all of the times playing Pokemon growing up and convincing yourself if you hit B at the right moment, it would have a higher chance of catching Pokemon, do you think?
I held down in B, I think, but for sure, yeah.
That's different.
Yeah,
lore.
everyone had a different schoolyard rumor about that one. It was sometimes it was down, sometimes it was B, sometimes it was both, sometimes it was rapid press B. I moved around a lot as a kid, so I heard like 4 different versions of this.
Great.
Kelsey, am I? Maybe you can help me with this. Am I confusing Earthbound with Mother 3, or doesn't Earthbound do that? But it does
Mother
not tutorialize
3 definitely does. I don't remember if Earthbound does.
I think Earthbound does, but it doesn't even slightly hint at a tutorialization of it. So I think I discovered it like 30 hours into that game or something, but I could be misremembering that you can press buttons in time to do more damage, but I could be absolutely wrong and mixing it up with Mother 3. That could be.
I think Mother 3
you
like
could be totally
music, right?
Yeah, in Mother 3, you time it with the music.
Yes. Yeah.
I could have gone through Earthbound without having ever learned that, so I believe you.
Yeah. But I love that kind of stuff.
Would Pokemon have been improved if when there is a Pokeball, you like a D20 shows up?
No.
And you roll it?
No.
Okay, all right. I mean, like, I wonder, like, if I would have, I want to see the results. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'm like, no, I caught that one. You know, and when it breaks out,
right?
Yeah,
I guess 3 shakes is your D20, right? It's like that one wasn't close. You got a nat 1 on that one. It just popped out.
Exactly.
I don't know if I get like. Pokemon never tells you like the odds at all, you know, like obviously those calculations are happening somewhere in the background, and I don't know if I'd be more mad or less mad if I knew the odds, you know, because like sometimes you're throwing an Ultra Ball and you're like, this has got to be pretty good odds, like it's low health and I'm throwing the best ball there is, like clearly this is going to work, and then you end up throwing like 15 of them, and I think if I knew that even like, you know, with the Pokemon at 5 health and put to sleep and using an Ultra Ball, that my chances were still like 8%. I wonder if I'd just be like, why am I even bothering? This is stupid. I'm never going to get it. And I wouldn't even try.
I think it would be demoralizing, yeah.
Let us now talk about a very simple game that's action heavy, the kind that Kyle Hilliard might be interested in. Let's talk about The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, which just recently was added to the Nintendo Switch Online catalog. Kyle, you've been playing this?
Yeah, I finished Oracle of Seasons.
Nice.
Which proudly, to no one's benefit and to my own detriment, I was very concerned about not save scumming that game and using save states. I was like, I'm not going to use save states. I'm going to play this as if I were playing it on a Game Boy, and it impressed nobody.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, from one Kyle to another.
I have a question real quick that I should know. What is the difference between Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages?
Great question.
Well, this is something I'm still learning. So the Oracle games I obviously am familiar with, and I dabbled with them on Game Boy back in the day. It was like one of those I never owned, but a friend had it, and I played the first hour, and then they came to 3DS a couple of years ago, and I started Ages there. But this was the first time that I sat down and I was like, I'm going to beat this game for real. And I Googled, and I saw general suggestions being that you should start with Seasons. Which Ages was actually the one that interested me more, because like time travel sounds more interesting than changing seasons.
There's all these doubles that are like Diamond and Pearl. That's like choose whatever resonates with you more. But going through Ages is infinitely more interesting than changing seasons.
So, and maybe you guys can help me with this, because I've only started Ages, but they actually seem pretty radically different. Like more so than I expected. I did like. Do you guys know if the dungeons are all different between the two games?
They're all different. Yeah, they're two entirely different games.
Okay, so they designed like 20 dungeons. That's so crazy. But I really thought what I was getting into was, like you said, Leo, like the Pokemon Red Blue situation. And then when I beat Seasons, I got my code, I brought it into Ages, and it was like a completely different story. It picks up as like a sequel. It's crazy. It's like they made 2 full Zelda games and released them at the same time. And apparently the original plan was to do 3, but they canceled the third one because they were just like, well, we can't do 3. That's absurd. Who would do 3? We could do 2, though. It's like, oh my God, what's wrong with you guys?
Wait,
well, the original Pokemon was supposed to be like 8,000 because they wanted every cartridge to be different and be like a randomized. It was, I can't remember the exact number, but it's whatever like the most unique amount of like random number generated in one byte is kind of thing. But they wanted everyone to have a slightly different like array of Pokemon that you can get, and there were like 8,000 different combinations for that. And then somebody was rightfully like, hey, so that would be really expensive to do at like a factory level, so we're not going to do that. How about 2?
Kyle, did you hear because it's Oracle of Seasons and Ages, did you hear what the third one was going to be? Was there any evidence of that?
It's probably easy to find. I think you could Google it.
I'll Google after this.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Tame Kitty in the Backstage Pass chat says Oracle of Minutes.
I think that's a joke. I don't think it's a minutes base.
I think it's a good idea regardless.
It's not a bad idea.
I do remember, one thing I remember, the shorthand would be that like Seasons is puzzle based, Ages is action based.
Yeah, although I think you have them flipped. I think Seasons is the more actiony one.
You're about to play. No, when you hop into Ages, you're double the action, bro.
Okay.
You just walked into the action.
I'm sorry.
Game.
It's a shooter.
Finally, they gave Link a gun.
But we should say it's not. I don't think it's the Link's Awakening engine per se, but it's Link's Awakening's graphic set. You know what I mean? Like it's the tile set. Link looks the same as Link's Awakening. It's basically like a spiritual sequel to Link's Awakening, split 2 ways.
Yeah, it feels like Link's Awakening. It feels like a Link's Awakening that I never got around to playing, and it charmed the hell out of me. I had a great time with it. Everyone's out there playing Baldur's Gate, and I'm like, getting through Oracle of Seasons and having a grand old time.
What's a moment in your adventure that stands out to you?
Oh, the final boss was both infuriating and kind of interesting because in the sort of the way you defeat them, which I guess I won't spoil. I mean, it's a funny thing to say, let's not spoil Oracle of Seasons, but I mean, there are probably quite a few people like me who are playing it on Switch for the first time.
Definitely, yeah. I heard a lot about it.
But I mean, the other thing I did was just really for my own benefit because I'm a masochist, I guess, is I did not use any guide. I didn't Google anything. Cool. And I really enjoyed it that way. And it's fun to go into that game knowing that it's Fujibayashi, the director of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom's like first Zelda game.
Oh.
And you kind of like, you see little things here and there that you're kind of like, oh, that maybe that sort of blossomed into an idea that eventually made its way to Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom or even Skyward Sword. That's the other Fujibayashi game, and Minish Cap as well. The guy's made a lot of good Zelda games. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I am taking a break before jumping into Ages, like playing some other things, but like I want to play them both just to see the trajectory of the thing, because they are like a pair, like they go together. There is a story, a light story that goes through both of them, and there's like characters from Ocarina of Time are making appearances and stuff, like Twin Rova, the I don't know, sort of main antagonist of the game is a boss character in Ocarina of Time. And all that kind of stuff is fun. There's a race that I've never really interacted with in any Zelda games, that they're not Goron, but they live underground and they like bathe in lava and stuff like that. So as someone who just loves Zelda, it's been really fun to sort of have access to those games on Switch finally.
Yeah. And if you're not a fan of if you like an old school like classic Zelda game, like these are like, I think, iconic examples of this era of Zelda games, right? Where it is kind of Link's Awakening vibes. So like very tight little dungeons with very, very specific through lines, and lots of like you get your little upgrade and you unlock your next little area. I think it's great. I think they're great games. You're making me. Yeah, I really want to go back and play them now.
There's that language you kind of learn in the dungeons where you're like, okay, this is clearly something I can't figure out right now, so I just have to leave this room. And I haven't had that Zelda itch scratched that way in a while.
Yeah.
Because Link's Awakening remake exists, and I played that game and finished it. But that was a version of a game I had already played, so I kind of had a basic idea of what I was getting into for sure.
There's some cheap bosses. And what you're telling me is in your playthrough, you would die to that boss and then go back to the dungeons beginning with 3 hearts and then walk into the teleporter. How many times did you have to do that?
I mean, there were a few that were excruciating.
Yeah, I imagine. I was happy to use my save states playing through this game.
Yeah, no, it really hit a point of being stupid, especially like the end boss, which has like 3 forms. Yeah, 3 forms. And you have to fight a mini boss on the way to the final boss. Where I was like, I probably had to try that end boss like 8 or 9 times. And I was like, what am I doing at a certain point? I'm like, just make a save state right out in the front door. No one's going to be mad at you. It's built into the system. But I was like, no, I've got to do this right. I'm not Googling anything.
Well, yeah, what is the motivation to do something, quote unquote, correctly?
I don't have an answer to that. Why would you ask me? No, I don't know. That's the funny thing. It's like I truly don't know. I will say I don't want to Google solutions. Like I get more out of a Zelda game by sort of discovering the solutions on my own. Googling something really takes the wind out of my sails in a big way, and it like makes me feel like I'm playing it wrong. But like
it's a puzzle game, so you should spend some time trying to figure out the puzzles. Like I get that.
But yeah, no, it's stupid. Like I hope I hope you didn't think I was insulting you in any way or being genuinely upset. But like
I would react the same way.
If I'm like stuck on a boss, I should make a save state out by the front door and not sort of replay the whole dungeon to make my way to it. But I don't know. I just wanted to have the purest experience for my own personal pride or whatever. I don't know.
And you did it, right?
Kyle Bosman was impressed, so I did something right.
Yeah, because what's interesting about that whole thing to me, right, is I asked you the something that stands out in your adventure. You know what I mean? You didn't say like, the flooded village or like the, riding on a cool pirate ship with a bunch of skeletons. The thing that stood out to you was that excruciating boss fight you had to reload 8 times.
Yeah.
And like maybe sometimes that like your memories are forged in the pain. You know what I mean? I think like the boss fights we all remember the most are the ones that we grinded as opposed to the ones that we cheesed with save states.
It also helps that it functions. In fact, I'll make like a little TikTok video at some point, but it functions similarly to the final boss of Mega Man X, which is something I never would have called in a million years.
That should be a half-hour YouTube video. Do not make that a TikTok. You could really extrapolate on that. I think that sounds good already.
Yeah, I had a great time with it, and I'm excited to get into to do Ages. And it's like there was also just the little fun element of like using the code. You beat the game and you get a code, and you take that over to the other game, and it acknowledges what you've done so far. I think it even changes the opening, like sort of dialogue and cutscene a little bit. I assume it seemed reflective of what I had done, and it also throws you an extra heart when you play that way too. So I started Ages with 4. I don't think so. I don't think you do get to keep the rings. I didn't love that system. I didn't really think that was that interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you there, though.
Yeah, because like everything, the rings are like randomized, and like the benefits they give you are incredibly minor and specific, or they just make the game harder. Which is like to the point where I was like, I just equipped the most basic one and never really changed it, and I was always bummed when I would go through this, this giant marathon to find a chest, and it's like, you got a ring, now you got to go pay $20 to see what it is, and I'm like, can I have a heart piece instead? Like, I would have rather taken that, if you don't mind.
I think the seeds are worse. You get a seed, you have to plant the seed to make a tree grow, and then it creates a gacha nut, and you open the gacha nut, and you like maybe you get a ring, or maybe you get a fairy that just flies away.
Yeah, your hearts are full already, and it's like, well, I'm glad I spent 2 hours dealing with that tree. What a great time that was.
So whimsical, though. It's so whimsical.
It's very whimsical. Yeah, hell yeah.
There's also I like there's you start the game and there's a house with like a woman who just had a baby, and then you can name the baby, and for some reason this kid ages like rapidly through the course of the game. Like every 2 dungeons you go back to it and it's like at a new life cycle. It's like went from infant to toddler to child running around. And then when it ages, I actually found that family, and the idea is that they moved to the new town where Ages takes place, and the kid has aged and maintains the name that I gave him. Which I was like, how a Sprout, because they were all like it was a tree-based family. So I tried to figure out a name that was like tree-based.
But now they're an adult person named Sprout, though. That's right. You weren't thinking ahead.
I don't know how it maintained my naming. Like between that code was like, I don't know, 16 characters. Like how did it know I kept the name? I don't know how it did that.
Bro.
Interesting.
It knows that it's like, oh, everyone's gonna name it some kind of plant. So there's like 6 names that it like knows. But yeah, cool game. And such a strange experiment having the 2. Like it learning that they're so different like blew my mind. I can't believe that they made 2 full Zelda games, and that was scaling it down from a planned 3. Like what an absurd plan that was.
Mary in the Backstage Pass chat Googled it and says the third Oracle's game supposedly had a theme of changing time throughout the day.
Okay, so Oracle of Minutes was right.
Well, Minutes was not far off.
So that wasn't a bit.
Okay, fair.
All
right, that's neat.
But yeah, maybe I'll check in a few weeks and see where I'm at with Ages.
Yeah. So Kelsey, you brought a game to this podcast that I had never heard of before. Today we're talking about Shotgun King.
Yeah, and I had never heard of it either, even though I just Googled and apparently it came out last year, but it came out for consoles very recently. So this is a game where it is it's a standard chess board. Like you're playing chess, but you are by yourself. You are a king, the black king chess piece, and you have a shotgun. And that's why it's called Shotgun King. And so it's a strategy game that I guess they call it a roguelite, but really it's just kind of like, you have different... You don't really like start over with a lot of advantages or anything. There's just kind of different ways of going through I think it's 12 floors of the game. But you're trying to essentially just annihilate all of the white pieces. Like every white chess piece, you're just kind of trying to kill them. And and you have the shotgun, so you can be a couple spaces away from someone. You don't necessarily have to kind of take them in like traditional chess fashion. You can shoot them, and as you progress, you get what I find a really interesting system of like you can choose a perk for yourself for the next floor, but it also gives the enemy like a different, usually much better perk. So it gets progressively harder, not just because you get more pieces on the board and like more of the pieces that are really deadly that can move all the way across the map and everything, but also you're giving them a bunch of advantages. So as someone who just kind of likes like tactics games, I really love this very like scaled down, very fast version of a tactics game. And I found it very, very fun. I think anyone who likes chess and or just tactics games, I think will like this. It surprised me. I watched the trailer and I was like, this looks interesting. And then I ended up playing for several hours, just playing through the same floors over and over again.
So at the beginning, let's say round 1, I've just started a run. Me playing the game, like what can I do on a turn? Basically, it's my turn. What actual actions are you taking?
So, you're a king piece, so those are like the crappiest piece in the game. You can only move one square any direction. Okay. And then you have a shotgun that can get upgraded, depending on what you choose throughout the game. But that shoots like a couple spaces away and you can kind of, turn it. So you're either moving or you're shooting. Or you can stay still, and every time you stay still or don't shoot, you reload your shotgun, which you do have to do every once in a while. So I think it starts you off as a base with just 2 shots before you have to reload. But yeah, I mean, as you kill things, you may be able to start moving. Like you can do like a single move once, like the piece you killed. So if you kill, a bishop, you can one time call on that bishop that you killed to move diagonally out of the way, further than you normally could. But it's just a very I like how simple it is because I already know chess. Like I'm not good at chess or anything, but like I already know what every piece does. So it takes so little explanation to just start going. Like, most tactics games are like, okay, this is this person has a spear and spears beat swords and swords beat, it's all of these different pieces that you have to learn. But because it's literally just using chess pieces, I think it's a very smart way to just kind of set you up and get you immediately going in a tactics game.
Yeah, I'm looking at the watching the trailer as this goes, and this feels like an important clarification. All of the pieces are still moving like chess pieces, which is the strategy aspect, is that you have to be cognizant of when they're getting up on your spot. But I think that's an interesting way of making a really quick start strategy game where it's like all you have to know is the rules for chess, which I think generally we kind of, even if you don't play chess, you've got like a rough idea.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, all you really have to know is like how the pieces move. Like if you just know that like a rook can move straight and sideways, and that a bishop can move diagonally, it's like it's as long as you know those things, like the rest of it is just a strategy game where you're eliminating each other. Like it's not that complicated. You just have to know how the pieces move and get out of the way.
What's the one perk that shows up where you're like, oh yeah, I'm having a good run? What's your favorite perk to get?
Good question.
It's like the wand of something, and it's just one time during your match. You can't use it to kill the king on the other side, but you can just rain down and basically choose, like from the very beginning, just kind of pick one piece off. So I usually... Yeah, so it's not an instant kill, but I have yet to... It has always done enough damage to kill whatever my target is. I don't know if there's a limit to it or not. I've never not had it do that. So, because it just counts down the points. So it's like, it does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever damage, and then that thing's gone. But yeah, I usually just use it to pick off like the queen, because that's the most versatile piece. Or if I have if the team has a bishop on both a black square and a white square, I'll maybe just pick off one of them. So then I'm like, okay, black squares are now safe from the only remaining bishop.
Yeah. That's cool.
And it's on Switch as well. Where were you playing it? I
was playing on Switch, yeah. Okay. I think it's on all consoles now. I at least saw it on Xbox as well. I don't know if it's on PlayStation 5.
That's such perfect Switch vibes.
I'd say it's like
great.
80s PC visuals, right? Was that how you would describe it too?
Yeah, it does the fake scan lines thing, kind of like a lo-fi, old computer look. Mm-hmm. But it's it's so simple. The whole game is in essentially black and white because it's a chess game, so it's just very, very simple color palette, very easy to understand pieces and everything.
Leo, what's going on in Hunt the Showdown this week?
It's just Hunt Showdown, actually. Hunt:/Showdown.
There's no the?
There's no the.
I feel crazy right now.
You said it before the show and I didn't correct you, and that's because I'm sabotaging you. I don't see
this moment. No, I appreciate that. So it's just called Hunt:/Showdown?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hunt Showdown.
What's going on in that game this week?
For some reason it's having a big resurgence. Maybe it was a Steam sale, but I'm not the only one who's suddenly getting into it. But I've been meaning to get into it forever, just needed the right group, and I finally had people to like guide me through it. It's it's kind of an extraction shooter, PvP and PvE. So if you find another team, your top priority is to take them out. But the PvE, the little zombies walking around and stuff, are really impactful too, and they are a concern. But a huge component of the game is sound cues. So if you walk past a flock of birds too close, they'll go flying away, and people can hear that bird sound, look over, see the birds rising into the sky, and go like, okay, so a team just moved through over there. And that's true of the PvE like zombies as well. If you have to if you get pushed into a corner and you have to shoot a zombie, people are going to hear that gunshot from like halfway across the map. And the experienced player I was playing with, shouts out Zurazawa from the MinnMax Discord and the Leo Vader Discord, he had this insane sense of like, I barely noticed anything happened, and he would go, oh, somebody set off a cage full of chickens to the northeast of us. And it's these tiny sound cues that are specific enough to learn, but it's like ultra hardcore, every little mistake matters like that.
Well, okay, are you getting the map lights up with like a red icon because there was a sound over there, or it's like literally you have to have headphones on and your volume turned up?
Touch Earth, something has happened here. That kind of vibe.
It's a lot more like that. It's a really hardcore like HUD experience. You don't even know if you downed someone or killed them. You never find out till you go to the body, or you find out at the end of the match. You can see this person downed me, I downed that person. It is interesting because that's another sound cue where I was relying on Zurazawa to say that you killed that person, because it was like such a tiny scream I didn't even notice. But it's like I got one shot off on them and had to duck behind a wall again.
It's really intense.
What is a tiny death scream? Something like that? Yeah. I would not assume that was a kill either.
No.
Yeah, that's a normal reaction to being shot as far as I'm concerned.
We all know.
But it kind of takes me back to the golden era of like PUBG, where I really enjoyed those small fights that would happen in these little bespoke situations and areas. You know, this little like 4-house square, you would have this memorable fight of like holding up at the top of the stairs and they push you and you jump out the back balcony and get them from the bottom or whatever. Little situations like that. This game is just full of those. And it also is scratching my specific itch of like slow, old-timey weapons. It's almost like a Wild West Bayou type of energy. All your weapons are single shot, and then you have to like recock the revolver or switch weapons or whatever, and reloading takes forever. And that's stuff that I really respond to. I really like having like fewer shots that matter way more. I really enjoy that kind of gunplay.
Is there a lot of different guns? Like, can you be the sniper, or you want to be the shotgun man, the shotgun king? Sorry.
Definitely plenty of variety and good progression too of doing more with one gun. You get new like variants of that. You get the variant with a scope or one that's built for more close range or whatever. But you also are it depends on luck, because I finally got a scoped sniper and I was like, I can't wait to use this. And every time I brought it in for 3 matches in a row, it was like rainy nighttime. Useless. But I really do love that.
Yeah, that's nice.
I agree. The rain made for some of the most interesting fights I had of like barely being able to tell where people are and like, okay, I might be able to sneak this way and get them. Really fun, long fights of everybody cares about their own life so much that they're playing really carefully. And finding out where someone is this like huge piece of information that you have to be like careful with, but maybe they're counting on that and they have a trap set up and you have to look out for those. It's like the right kind of small fights that matter a lot and are really tense. And there's the PvE element is you're trying to like take out this boss, be the first to get all the clues to find the boss to fight them, or you can chance upon them first and get lucky. But once you start like finishing off the boss, you have to wait there to do what's called banishing them, and that alerts the map. And so people are going to come and try and take that from you or take you out before you finish banishing it. And if you extract, you lose that stuff. If you get it and extract, you win. But you can also extract if you don't get it, and you're just like, I want to preserve this life, because you have these few characters that are kind of random, but I think it's from a set pool, but they have consistent like traits, and you level them up if you keep them surviving, or they die and they're gone for good.
Well, I guess it's a fair question. How is this game monetized?
It is $40. It was on sale for $16.
So it's not like a free-to-play thing? It's like just straight up you buy this game?
It is. They do have a lot of DLC. You can buy legendary characters and things that give you somewhat of an advantage, but it's all stuff that you also could earn. So I think the community's happy with it. The person I was playing with said that they had a ton of amazing stuff, and they said they only got it from playing, which is cool. Decent value for the buy-in for sure.
Okay, so now that you're in on this game, Leo, how much longer does everyone else have to play it before it goes offline?
I know.
Is this a pattern?
Yeah. This is a pattern.
Sadly.
Somebody in the Twitch chat when I was streaming it said, sorry to this game, Leo's giving it the kiss of death.
What other games you giving kiss of death to?
That story
Rumbleverse, Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines.
There's the stories of these like hospitals that will have a cat that goes room to room and like will sit with the patients, and it's like the cat knows if someone's about to pass away, and that's Leo and multiplayer games, I think, right?
Yeah, I do oddly get drawn to stuff, and then that ends up happening. So yeah, there is something definitely spiritual going on. But I will say this game had its peak concurrent players on Steam really recently. It's oddly doing well, even though it's been around for like 4 or 5 years.
Cool. I've got a spiritual question for this panel. How does this whole thing operate?
Human maxers. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Nice, Kyle.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the URL unfortunately has not changed. It is still patreon.com/MinnMax.
Oh, okay.
I understand, like, we'll get it fixed whenever possible, but for now, you would want to check out patreon.com/MinnMax to see the Patreon for this conglomerate? What is this thing?
Independent media company?
Yeah.
Independent media outlet. I think that's what Ben says. Yeah. Support independent media.
Yeah.
I think we should circle back to conglomerate, though. That was resonating with me.
Cartel.
Lots of cool benefits available for you there, depending on how much you're able to give to MinnMax. But yeah, people are watching us record this right now live, and they're hanging out in the backstage. There's so many things. You can get early access to the various programs MinnMax puts out. So yeah, check out patreon.com/MinnMax. And now a moment to thank MinnMax's biggest supporters. I have a suggestion for everybody. You should banish the end of summer blues with HelloFresh. No need to stress about how you'll handle it all this fall, because HelloFresh takes care of the meal planning and delivers pre-portioned ingredients right to your home. So whipping up a homemade meal you can whip up a homemade meal in a cinch. Okay, you know what I just realized? That was a freebie. HelloFresh is not sponsored. That was a freebie from. I'm realizing. Did I say this last week? I did. Congratulations, HelloFresh. You got yourself a little freebie.
It doesn't make what you said not true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Here's what I really want to talk about. With the busy fall season.
Get out of here, HelloFresh.
That was just the warm-up.
I can't cut that. For the record, I can't cut that because of how the audio of the ad music is layered. So they are lucky.
They got a
You're
freebie.
welcome, HelloFresh.
If you liked that ad read, here's another for you. With the busy fall season just around the corner, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared...
Except no substitute.
Approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Level up with Gourmet Plus options. Gourmet Plus options, prepared to perfection by chefs and ready to eat in record time. Treat yourself to upscaled meals with premium ingredients like broccoli, leeks, truffle butter, and asparagus. You know, it's like Ben Hansen always says, it was like a godsend in a house with a newborn. Genuinely really enjoyed them, and they come with smoothies. So you can head to factormeals.com/MinnMax50 and use code MinnMax50 to get 50% off. That's code MinnMax50 at factormeals.com/MinnMax50 to get 50% off.
My friend Luke, who I hope used this promo code, unforced, said in our Discord that he loves these meals and he can't tell that they're microwaved at all. It's always like 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes, and they're delicious, and yeah, they taste like regular food.
I love that. Anytime anybody can interject here and add some sincerity and truthfulness to these ad reads.
It's true.
Please.
He wasn't paid.
We got a lot this week. Ready for another one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whenever I'm on a hot girl walk, I'm always feeling dehydrated and thirsty. Anybody else have this?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Some of that.
It's every time I walk.
Yeah. Liquid IV, the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, is now available and sugar-free. They got years in the making. Hydration Multiplier Sugar-Free uses a proprietary zero sugar hydration solution with no artificial sweeteners and with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients for everyday wellness. Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone. You can keep your daily routine exciting with 3 new flavors: white peach, green grape, and lemon lime. What do you love most about Liquid IV, panel?
I've been using Liquid IV. I was just traveling, and the thing I really like about them is they come in little pouches, and so it's really easy to add it to any drink, and it becomes drinkable immediately. Like, it's such a fine powder that as soon as you add water to it, like, you don't have to like wait for it to like dissolve or anything. It's just like, bam, it is ready to go. And I really like that. I've got all 3 of those flavors that you just talked up, and I think they're all really good. None of them are very sweet. I don't personally like sweet sport drinks, because it feels like when I drink a sweet sport drink, I'm undercutting the work that I've just done by eating this sugary drink, which I don't love. So I quite like the fact that they are not particularly sweet.
We always have Liquid IV in the house, and we use it not only just as a hangover cure, but just like if we like want a little boost and don't want to have coffee, it's like totally gives you a noticeable charge, and it's just plain yummy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like them. I don't drink them as a hangover cure or anything necessarily. I mostly just drink them because I'm really bad at drinking enough water, and it helps if it's delicious flavored.
True.
Real people, real flavor, real hydrating. It's now sugar-free. Grab your Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier sugar-free in bulk nationwide at Costco, or get this, 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MinnMax at checkout. That is MinnMax. 20% off anything you order when you use promo code MinnMax at liquidiv.com. Receipt of copy does not constitute an order. You should just, I guess you all gotta know that. I got another spiritual question for the panel. What do you know about stamps.com?
Oh, I use it all the time.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Here we go.
Yeah, I ship stuff using stamps.com all the time for my business. It is very convenient. And I think I've said this before on the podcast, but I think there's still a lot of people who don't know that, like, you do not have to go to a post office to like do the whole process of mailing a package. Like, I still see all these people in line with a box, and they get to the front and they're like, this is where I'm sending it, and then they weigh it for you, and then you probably like overpay there because you're having someone basically do all this stuff for you. Stamps.com, I think, sends you like a free scale, and even so like, you literally can just do this all and print the label, and then you skip the line at the post office and you just place it on the counter and you leave, and it's great. It's like, it's so much easier than what everyone else is doing. So I use it all the time. I think it's great.
It is very satisfying to jump that line and then just give the people at the post office one of these, you know, like the chin up, like, we know
hey,
what.
fellow package expert.
Yeah. Right.
I know about Stance.com. Yeah, you and me.
I'm just going to leave this on the
We are the
counter
same.
and you can deal with it.
Honestly, you basically did the whole ad read. Well, here's what everybody needs to know, is that you can set your business up for success when you get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up with promo code MinnMax, MinnMax, for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, free postage, and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the little microphone in the upper right-hand corner of that page, and enter the code MinnMax. The HU will come later. For now, it is simply MinnMax is the promo code for all of these.
Yeah,
except for... Go ahead.
Maybe leave in the comments, like, it's going to be MinnMax, just so you know, like, let them know.
Yeah.
When you use it.
And I realized, hey, that was a lot of promo codes, a lot of URLs. All of that will be in the info on this YouTube upload. Look for all of that there. Also, a big thank you to longtime supporter of MinnMax, I Am 8-Bit, who this week would like to let you know about their Neon White exclusive edition for PlayStation 5 and Switch. Neon White is, of course, the single-player, speed-running, first-person shooter where you can sacrifice your guns for godlike parkour moves. By the way, I love Neon White. That game's sick.
Good game. Great game.
This thing also, you should know, includes 5 Neon White anime-style character peeker stickers to put in your car windows. And also you should know that there's a new promo code on I Am 8-Bit's website for $10 off anything under $100. That promo code is Goat Cheese Month. Greatest of all time, Cheese Month. And that'll get you $10 off everything under $100. And also, I Am 8-Bit does another really cool thing. They give away a prize to the best community question of the week every week. This week's prize? The Eastward vinyl soundtrack, double LP.
Cool
And
games.
thank you, everybody. Thank you, all of those supportors. Woo. Ben Warren.
You did extra work there. You did too much.
He's like, I got 4 this week, and then I had 4.5 basically. Halfway through that. Oh my God. But that's always our best transition into community questions. These are questions from the community posted on that aforementioned Patreon page. The best question will win that Eastward vinyl soundtrack. Let us start with this. From Luca Alberti. Hello, panel. After the release of Breath of the Wild, many fans asked for a Majora's Mask to Breath of the Wild. You know, a smaller game with a different tone, released within a short time frame after Breath of the Wild. 6 years later, Tears of the Kingdom is on the market, and while people loved it, I see the community voicing the unanswered demand. I hope the next one is smaller. With games like Assassin's Creed Mirage and Star Wars Outlaws boasting about being shorter experiences, I think we might have crossed the limit of bigger is better mentality in the gaming industry. Thoughts?
I don't know if I
Yes.
think we're there yet, but it's happening. It's happening. I don't think we've crossed the Rubicon on that yet, though.
It's hard to be sure, of course, but if I were to, I feel like looking back, picking a moment where we might have crossed it, it seems like Ubisoft is like the main symptom of this issue / cause of it, this bloat, and them paring their games down. I feel like that is a sign to me.
It's like the pendulum swung too far with Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the fact that one of Mirage's selling points, right? One of their marketing bullets is like smaller experience. To me, like, says that we have crossed a line. Like, that's now a way to sell a game to somebody. It's like, yeah, this one's actually a little smaller, you know?
I guess that's true, but like, how much smaller do we actually functionally think it is? I guess that's my question. Is like, I mean, because bragging that your game is bigger or smaller has always just sort of been a branding point, like it's a marketing point that doesn't always represent the actual gameplay. So I guess it is fair that like the idea that people want smaller games and that is a viable marketing strategy is good. But like, how much smaller is it going to be? Because I'm over here being like, Venba was the perfect length for a game, and I don't think Assassin's Creed is going to be quite like that.
No. Well, considering that Viking or Valhalla like genuinely felt infinite. Like, do you guys know anyone that beat Valhalla? I don't think I know anybody personally. Maybe there was a reviewer or something. Yeah. But I mean, Mirage, at least from what we know so far, seems like a much like a manageable assassin. It's not an RPG, right? I mean, so that yeah. But you're right, Jenna. Though it's a matter. We'll see, right? Maybe it comes out and we're like, hold on, this is like 1,000 hours.
But I think even if that is a 100-hour game, I still think just the fact that large companies are starting to catch on that it is a marketing point to say it's not huge.
Your game is finite.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but because that's basically all any game has used as a marketing point up until this point is, I mean, not the only point, obviously, but if you are talking about size of the game, outside of indie studios, if someone's going to comment on the size of the game as a marketing point, they're going to talk about how big it is, or how many hours of gameplay there are in it in a it's a lot and that's a good thing way. And so the fact that we are at least starting to see some acknowledgement from large studios that this one won't be as big is that is new. That's a new thing that could be a turning point. I don't know that it's going to shrink Assassin's Creed down to a 20-hour experience, to your point, but it's something.
JKK in the Backstage Pass chat says Mirage is 20 to 24 hours long, supposedly. That's what they're touting.
Oh, they've said that?
Nice.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, but this,
wow.
This makes me think about, though, what studios have done to get these games that big. And in the case of Assassin's Creed, it was adding all that RPG stuff. And it might equally be a case of while certain people have responded to that for sure, more people not responding to that. I wonder what impact that has in the decision, because an Assassin's Creed game without that's still 200 hours long. It's really hard to picture what they would even fill that with. Yeah. Without all those different layers of progression.
I think it's going to depend a lot on what the reaction to this game is, because I think there's a risk of people wanting to put down $60 for a 20-hour game when they could put it down for Starfield, which is going to be a living game. So it's I'm curious to see if people are going to like that, and if this is going to grow into an actual turning point, or if people are going to be not worth it, not infinite. I don't spend the rest of my life in this game. What's the point?
Yeah.
You definitely do see that weird math that people do all the time where they're $60 for an 8-hour experience. That means that, per hour I am spending, and I'm do you do this calculation with movies or meals? Because those are way worse per hour worth of value. Video games are probably one of the best dollar to hour, even on a short game, that you can possibly get.
There's an episode of the Game Maker's Notebook, the AS podcast from a couple of years ago with Josef Fares and Ted Price from Insomniac, and they had this conversation that I really loved, where Fares, who is a passionate, outspoken person who likes to get heated about things, It Takes Two and Brothers creator and stuff like that, was almost borderline arguing with Ted Price about how absurd it is that people don't finish video games. How important it was to him in designing games like It Takes Two, that when they look at the trophy statistics, they see that a lot of people have gotten the ending trophy. And they even had a little bit of a discussion of how many people finished Spider-Man and how many people finished It Takes Two and stuff like that. And I'm kind of on I'm sort of on Ferris's side, that it's kind of absurd that that's a metric that isn't really strongly considered, right? It's weird that game makers are if people make it to the end or they don't, whatever. It's but you're making all this content. Don't you want to make it in such a way that people can experience? So it's an interesting conversation for sure.
I think it's contradictory, because I think for most art forms, like if somebody was like, yeah, I love Godfather, I never finished watching it. I skipped the last half hour of The Godfather, but yeah, it's my favorite movie. Or like, like even trying to have a conversation with somebody who is like, yeah, I watched The Godfather, but I never finished watching it. But here are my strong opinions about it. It's like, no, thank you. I don't.
Right.
But like, it's different. It is different for video games where I think some people who make games have to understand that they are not making a game that is meant to be beaten or will be beaten. And I mean, I think that there's a huge dichotomy between games that are like, yeah, this is going to be a long experience. This is going to be the rest of my life. This is functionally endless, versus games that are meant to be a fully engaged with story. But I don't think big studios necessarily always appreciate that there's a difference. Like, if you want people to watch all of your Spider-Man game, then maybe you can't make 80 hours of additional content that's going to lure them away from that main arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is another unique thing of games versus movies, too, of like, they have to design the new Assassin's Creed as somebody's first one, it'd be fine entrance, and with the reality of most people have played a third or 2/3 of the way through a few of them.
Yeah.
Like any kind of sequeled story like that, I don't know. It's hard. It's a whole different challenge to make that interesting and yet fit with the others.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons, just quickly, Ferris is so passionate about that also is he's a filmmaker. Like that was his first. Like he was a filmmaker before he was a game designer. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Because that's the thing is like I mean, like, so let's think of Tears of the Kingdom, right? That's like Nintendo's $70 game and it just broke records for them. You know what I mean? Like they cannot be, they're not sweating that they should start making smaller games. But like to me, it's like I'm sure they're fine that most people who popped that game in have not beaten it yet. And to me, it's almost like you know, like you don't beat a theme park. You know what I mean? You just go in there and have fun. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to ride every ride in the theme park to have a good time there. And so like for sure, like it's like, is your market the people who are going to argue about your game for game of the year at the end of the year? Or is it just like the people who are just like buying it and having a good time, you know? And so like in a certain way, like, you know, as somebody who does care about game narrative, like I love, you know, telling a story. I think you should finish a story, right? But like video games primarily are about this interaction of like going into a world and being there and like, you know, having fun. And so like, I think we're not going to see a lot of smaller games. I don't think it's a neat little reoccurrence here of like two games saying we're small, we're 20 hours, don't worry about it. But honestly, like with the games that have been huge, with Elden Ring, with Baldur's Gate 3, like huge games are going to keep happening, bigger and bigger.
Very true. The sweet spot for me personally is like 40 hours to 100% an open world, and then like a meaningful new game plus. That's the way I like handling. Like if I want to spend more time with it.
I'm really in the 5-hour range. 5 hours, perfect amount of story, perfect amount of gameplay. If I'm spending more time than that, then it's got to be for a good reason, aka I can romance everyone. Hello, Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you.
I also feel like the theme park comparison, like these are video games just encompass such a wide variety of things that, you know, I would say some games, and, you know, Tears of the Kingdom, I think, is a good analog for that, is totally a theme park. It really doesn't matter that much. Or at least I feel doesn't matter that much if you beat it. Because yes, they're telling a story, but like that's probably not the main takeaway they want you to take from that game. But there are others, like Venba, for your example, Jenna, is like the whole thing is the story, right?
Yeah,
so like
true.
if you didn't finish that, you did not really experience what they wanted you to experience out of that game. So I don't know. I think it runs the gamut. Like I think there's just all kinds of, which is why it's so hard to say like which one is better, because it so largely depends on what people are trying to do with it.
Let's do a quick little fun question. I like the phrasing here. This is from Forrest Lassman. Any game that lets you jump coming out of a roll for a boost of speed is automatically better for me. What are some of your favorite little movement techniques in games?
Oh, I love a slide. I love when you can run into a slide and then slide up onto your feet again and keep running. That nothing feels as good as that. Oh.
Or like the jump right after a slide, like if you're kind of sliding down like a hill. I think of like some of the newer Monster Hunters, you can slide down and then at the very end do like a real big jump off the slide.
So good.
Good stuff.
Yeah, specifically when the slide is affected by the gravity of going down a hill.
Yeah.
And you can steer it as you're going. Yeah,
That's the best.
Yeah. I also loved in Tears of the Kingdom when you rode up a waterfall. It's Breath of the Wild too. When you ride up the waterfalls and you get to the top and it goes pew, and it just like propels you straight up in the air. That is so unnecessary and so good.
You know what's crazy about that? Is you actually like refill your stamina meter while you're swimming up a waterfall.
Yeah, it's wild. Magic.
It's wild. You know what? It's wild. My favorite thing is when Mario does like the you're running in one direction, then you switch really quick and press jump at the same time, and he does like a sideways jump, or a little sideways flip. That's my kind of thing. I really like that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I like in Resident Evil 6 when you can do side flips and back flips and front flips and land on your back and crawl around.
A lot of the fans like the series for that, right?
Yeah, a high watermark.
When you said that, I was like, you could do that? And I was thinking of like 7 and 8. Like 7 in Village. Like I was like, I don't think what game were you playing? I was like, oh, he's dead. Oh, he's talking about 6. Okay, there we go.
Something's wrong with my wife. Giant backflip.
That's how I did it in VR, baby.
You got a knife coming at you, just do a backflip. That's cool.
Just for a simple one, I really like just a quick, like this quick sidestep evade, but the ones that are like really fast, and you can kind of like, you know, you're not doing like a step. You're kind of like zooming to the side real quick, and you can kind of do that back and forth.
What game are you thinking of in particular?
What was the name of that game? Scarlet Nexus, I think, has a really good one of those, which is I don't know, it's in a lot of like, I feel like anime action games.
Sure.
And that's the one that came to mind for me, but.
I remember Scarlet Nexus came out and I played the first like 2 hours. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I was like, what if I like went all in on Scarlet Nexus and I like watched the first episode of the anime? And then I was like, I don't think I need to go all in on Scarlet Nexus.
I still haven't played it all the way through, but I did enjoy it. Like there was never a point where I was like, this is a slog and I hate this. I just never finished it.
I just don't know what clicked in my brain where I was like, I'm gonna become a Scarlet Nexus guy. It's like, what was it? I don't know what grabbed me there at the beginning, but it did not stick.
Do you know what switched that off in your mind? Was it something in the anime where you were like, nope?
Yeah, no, it was truly, it was just like, oh, this feels kind of generic. And I think maybe something else came out and I moved on with my life. But it was weird that I had that one evening where I was like, let's watch the anime. Let's play the game. Let's engage with this property.
A real sliding doors moment for Kyle. Right. Two roads diverging here.
You gave it a shot. That's very open-minded of you, though. Let's play a game. This comes from Connor Withy. Hey, MinnMax, have a little mini game for you. Just finished up my Pikmin 4 playthrough. In case you don't know, treasure hunting is a big part of the game. The fun twist about that is each of these treasures is something that exists on Earth. Something that would be tiny for us is dwarfing these characters. I'm going to include 10 examples of the game giving everyday objects weird names. See if you can guess the object based on the description. 1 through 5 will be food, 6 through 10 will be grab bag. Mild spoilers if somebody doesn't want to be spoiled on some unique treasures, I guess. Okay. So basically, it's, these weird little aliens come to this planet. How would I describe this thing? Number 1, puzzle snack.
Puzzle snack. Pretzel?
Yes! Yeah, absolutely. Pretzel.
Okay.
I definitely read every single one of these in Pikmin 4 because I liked them, but we'll see if that helps you at all.
Talking about like narrative depth, like each of them has 3 descriptions too. Like there's like, it's so crazy. This one's one of my favorites in the entire game. Mock bottom.
Shoe sole?
These are food.
No, it's a food. Yeah. Well, if you're hungry enough.
Peach?
Yeah, that's a mock bottom.
Oh. All right.
Yeah.
Good call, Kelsey.
Mm-hmm. Slapstick crescent.
Is that
Banana?
Banana.
Yeah.
Wow, so they know you slip on it.
Yeah. So there's some
but they don't
comedy
know what
there.
it's
impressive.
called.
That's good.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The Four Grill Brothers.
A kebab?
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a
okay.
kebab.
That's a good
These
one.
are
Very
good
nice.
descriptions, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Treehouse, man.
Snack bean.
Snack bean?
Snack bean. Bean.
Snack bean. Peanut?
Is a
Like a
bean
green
not
bean?
already a snack?
Yeah.
Peanut.
Yeah.
Oh, peanut.
Bean's already, well, yeah. But yeah, peanut was the answer. Yeah. Snack bean.
Snack bean.
Okay, now we're into the grab bags. Olfactory sculpture.
It's like a nose, right?
Ooh, no.
Like it's a
Are
statue
you just
of a
imagining
nose?
some Pikmin picking up a nose? What are you imagining right now?
I feel like I picked up like a statue of a nose or something.
Oh,
I don't
okay,
know.
sure.
I got every treasure in that game. I was into that game.
Heck yeah.
Okay. So olfactory sculpture. Is it like a sculpture of a warm pie where they've actually sculpted the wavy lines coming off of it so you know it's hot and smells good?
What does the word olfactory mean?
Smell.
It's like smelling nose.
Yeah.
Oh,
So is it a
olfactory.
booger?
Olfactory
Okay.
senses.
yeah.
Sorry?
Is it a booger?
No.
And these are
Olfactory
specifically-
smells good.
These are specifically not food, right?
Yeah. This
Oh,
smells
okay,
good.
so it wouldn't be booger. Never mind.
No, it'd be something that
Yeah, I don't know. Pass.
Yeah, I don't know.
What kind of things in our world smell good?
Pies, Kyle.
Okay,
I
let's say
just-
this. Let's say this. Let's say you have a room that doesn't smell good. How would you make it smell good?
Was it like an air freshener?
A candle?
It's a candle, yeah.
Oh,
It's candle.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
candle.
okay. It's good.
And then I learned the word olfactory.
yeah.
Congrats.
You're learning so much on this podcast. I'm happy for you.
It has been very educational, yeah. Personal injury plank.
A rake.
Skateboard.
Oh,
Yes. You remember that one, don't
That
you?
one I remember, yeah.
That's a really funny one. Yeah, I like that. Personal injury
Wow.
plank.
Anti-skateboarding.
False lollipop.
False lollipop.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ben Hansen probably has a few of these around his house right now.
Pacifier?
A child.
Like a Q-tip or something?
Pick up a live infant.
You know what I mean? Like
All
it's
the
a
Pikmin
pacifier.
carrying a live infant.
Yeah. That's Pikmin 5. Imagine just rescuing a bunch of babies.
Is it a thermometer?
Pacifier was the answer.
Pacifier.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, it probably does have a bunch of those, yeah.
Buddy display.
Mirror?
Aw.
Cute.
That's a good
but
answer.
no.
A buddy display. Is it like a
Mhm.
picture frame? A photo in a picture frame?
Yeah, it is. But what is inside of that picture
Oh,
frame?
A
dog.
puppy.
Yeah, picture of dogs. Yeah.
Okay, cute.
The buddy display. And then finally, number 10. Winged freedom sculpture.
Wave bird controller?
Yeah. Okay, that's what it
Wow.
was. Yeah.
Is that another one you
Freedom.
remembered?
Yeah, I knew you were going to get it. One of the Nintendo things were going to be in there because you pick up
Yeah,
a
it was,
bunch of. Yeah.
I was waiting for like the Game Boy Advance to be in there or something.
Well, my favorite one, again, minor
Okay.
spoilers for Pikmin 4, is you pick up a GameCube disc of Wave Race. What's it called? Blue Wave on GameCube? Is it what's the GameCube Wave
Blue
Race game?
Storm.
Blue
I think.
Storm. Yeah, you pick up a
Nice.
Blue Storm GameCube disc and pick it. It's like, why that one? Okay, cool.
It's weird. It's like how the Simpsons, like Homer's backstory has to keep aging up. You know what I mean? So like now
yeah.
Pikmin, like GameCubes are old in the Pikmin world.
Yeah, right.
It's just wild. That's a fun game. We got to. This is a fun, weird question from Mike Lynch. Is there a place of business in a video game that you wish existed in real life? Also, thank you to Jenna and Kyle. Happy trails, y'all.
Thank you.
Happy trails back at you.
Pretty much any of the places in Animal Crossing I would like to go and
Oh
hang
yeah,
out
that'd
at.
be cool.
A place where I could just sell dirt and sticks would be kind of like, right? Like,
I mean, it's almost the case in Animal Crossing. You know,
that's what I'm saying. Like you don't get much for it, but
yeah, a place where I could go with my rock and stick that I've tied together to make an axe and sell and get a better axe. That would be nice.
I was thinking about this a lot when Animal Crossing came out. It's like you go to this place. It's like the game is almost structured like you go on a vacation, and like you can pick up sticks and sell them to like make your. I was like, what if someone tried to emulate that as like a camp, as like a vacation that you could go on, where it's like you go to this place and to like you get there and you leave your bag somewhere, and then like your first task is going and picking up like 20 sticks, and then you turn it in, and it's like, all right, well, you can stay at this cabin over here, and then the rest of the week is just like you're turning in like sticks and bugs that you caught to like get food and stuff like that. Like, would that be fun? I think
it feels like a reality show or something,
right?
Like,
yeah,
you know, you get you and like 5 other contestants are there, and you got to start, you know, you come up with your strategy. So some people are like, I'm going to get all the good seashells so that I can get some currency for better or whatever, and some people are like, I'm going to go get the fruit off the trees. Like, that's my thing. I'm going to go grab all the fruit.
Yeah. But I don't want it to be a struggle. Museum. Like you should get like you can turn in 5 sticks and get like a full breakfast. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be hard. I just want some kind of economy that where it's like you just don't think about money and you get rewards for doing little tasks.
Your dream camp is a functional economy, but not even maybe not even that. I guess I don't know.
I think like this is what draws people to communes. Like I think legitimately, like, you know, you could just go do that in Vermont if you wanted to.
You just started a cult, Kyle. Congrats.
That's a good point. How's the Wi-Fi in these places, though? That's my only question.
You imagine how many like sticks you need for a cell phone, dude.
No, you got to work your way up. No, this is like when you read people who are like, yeah, I traded a paper clip for this boat, this houseboat. It's like that. It's like that kind, but it's explicitly laid out how many sticks you need to do to get to the next level up.
Yeah, someone do this. It's like a vacation. It's a vacation idea that someone has to set up. They could call it animal crossing for animals.
How do you deal with because there's a point in those sorts of survival games where you escalate to getting an axe and starting to chop down trees. How do you deal with that escalation in this camp?
I don't know. It's like an escape room where it's like, you know, you press a button and that counts. You have to press your axe that you got from trading 5 sticks in at the store against a button on a tree.
Okay, and then you have to move your joystick because you just regressed to being a video game.
We're just pressing buttons now.
What if I could like do this without going anywhere, and it was just like all virtual on like a screen? And I think I'm onto something here.
You know what a place I really love is the mall in Mega Man Legends. If I could go stroll through that little place, I would do that. I would go buy some CDs there.
It's just a mall? Is that the allure?
Yeah, I think it's called like Apple Mall or maybe Apple Street Mall or something like that. Yeah.
Or the mall in Dead Rising.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stores there. There's like you could buy a lot of like weird shirts. I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, that's just a mall. Yeah. Right? I mean,
sure.
Here in Minnesota, you could go to the Mall of America and be like, oh, it's like Dead Rising.
Yeah, but what if there were psychopaths that ran the different stores that you had to
That
fight?
would be cool. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. We can turn this into some kind of vacation business. The Mall of America gets shut down for a week and you just role-play Dead Rising.
A summer camp where it's just about looting.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of like dead malls in America now. This is not a terrible way to you know, have a small amount of monetization on your dead mall is to do a big Dead Rising roleplay experience.
Which to be fair, is a Dawn of the Dead roleplay to begin with. Yeah. So they could license it on the movie, which is, gosh, what's more popular in 2023? Dawn of the Dead, the original George Romero film, or Dead Rising on Xbox 360?
Both of them are red hot.
Here's a tricky, serious question. This is from Mikey Mizek Novak. Hey, Minnie. Hey, Max. Short-time listener, first-time asker. I am working on a proposal for my local library to set up a game library. I want to eventually have computers and systems there as well, but to start, I'm looking for just games to borrow. What are your suggestions for platforms I should try to support? Should it be only current? Or should I dip back into previous consoles? What popular games would you stock if price rarity were no object? What gems would you include? Something you would still lend out? Thanks, Mikey Misek Novak.
I have some opinions on this. I think that if you're starting, like, I see the vision and I see where you're going with the vision. And if you are starting from absolute scratch, you basically have no choice but to stock only current stuff right now. Because to do otherwise is to assume that anyone using your local library like has a GameCube, which they don't. So they kind of defeats the in order to like convince this library, like, hey, this is a thing, this is a public service that people are going to use and that people want, you kind of have to start with like the hits and the basics. So like you gotta figure out what people have, which honestly is probably more like PS4 games than it is PS5 games, but it's probably a lot of Switch and like PS4 to start with, and just popular stuff like, Zelda, Pokemon. Like, you need to sort of prove that people will actually use this, I think, before you can get into like gems and interesting things, because the struggle of a like well curated library is convincing anybody to engage with the things they haven't heard of or care about it, so like if you start with GameCube games, you might it depends on where you are. If you're like in a college town, you might get a bunch of people like excited that their library has a GameCube and games and stuff. But I think for the most part, like most of your people are just gonna be like, oh yeah, I want to play more like Switch games. That's what I have.
Yeah, there's also the danger with physical media, if you're going back to like GameCube, where it's like you run into this dichotomy of either games that nobody really wants to play that you will be able to get a hold of and stock in a library, or games that everyone wants to play that are actually really expensive and that it might be somewhat precarious to stock, because then it's like, is somebody going to walk off with, I can't even fake a GameCube game. would be one that somebody would be like, I'm going to check this out and never return it because it's actually like a $400 game to buy.
Like Chibi Robo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fire Emblem.
Yeah. So there's that danger there. But yeah, like getting people to engage with the things that you have in your library are always going to be the most difficult part. I worked in a library. I was a librarian for a few years, and that was always the issue.
Oh, interesting.
And we always had games, and they didn't often get checked out because I don't think people knew that you could go to your local library and get a Switch game for your modern cartridge. Like getting the word out is going to be so much harder than stocking. But yeah, having the most recent games that people are most likely to want to play, the newest Pokemon, the newest Bayonetta, etc., is going to be absolutely your best bet. And also, like, if you have like a space that you want to set up as like a cool gaming hangout, I think that kind of changes the math a little bit. I don't know if Kelsey,
did your library have such a thing?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
It was a very bougie library. So the fact that we had video games at all was surprising given the time that I was working there. But I think now there's more. I think it's a good thing to have to draw people into the library. So I think it's good work that you're doing. But yeah, stick with the modern stuff, the stuff everyone's gonna want to play.
So we all get, when we receive games for review or etc., we get codes now pretty much exclusively. But there was like maybe 7 years ago, I was still getting like physical games. And we culled the collection, and pretty much any game that I didn't want to hang on to that I'd gotten for free from work, I donated to my local library. And it was like a lot of good stuff. It was like
nice.
Like Pokemon Sun and Moon, like things like that. And I went back like a week later, like hopeful that their video game section would have been really buoyed by my efforts. But they ended up just like selling them at the library, which was like fine. I still want the library to get money for that. That's okay. But I really was more hopeful that they would have been like, they would have had a nice archive of like 3DS games and stuff.
Yeah, that is definitely something you have to actually like talk to the library about.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm kind of mad on your behalf that they didn't like warn you was going to be the case, because like that happens. I mean, that's happened at the Video Game History Foundation too, where people will be like, "Here's some 360 games," and we will warn them like, "We don't need these, but we do need money." So if you're with like,
I'm not. Like I said, I'm not heartbroken about it. It ultimately, people bought those games, and maybe some kids got like good Pokemon games for not too much money, that I took good care of, and just stayed on a shelf during the duration of my time owning them. But I was a little disappointed that I couldn't go to my local library and be like, there's all the DS games I donated.
I think some libraries would have totally taken you up on that. I think it probably just depends on, I don't know, what the vision of the library is.
Weird question is like, is there like a, library books can cover all sorts of topics, but I feel like video games, like maybe there's some video games that would be inappropriate to put in there. Do you know? Was there, I mean, Jenna, when like you were stocking video games in your library, was there like a, hey, no rated M for matures, none of that?
I don't think anybody who's doing buying at the library I worked at could parse any of that when it came to video games. So not really. And I don't believe we had a distinction between like adult video games, and we had so few video games that it didn't make sense to like split the collection. So it was all just like, here's all of the video games. But I do think they were all in like the young adult section, because as we all know, games are only for children. But I don't think there was any division. I don't think there was anything, because I mean that's not really a thing that happens with books. Like nobody is going to stop a child from checking out a book that might be M-rated, because it's like, first of all, it just never happens. Like it's just like that. It was never a thing where children would try to like push the bar on what they were allowed to check out. And so I can't imagine like a child coming up and being like, here's, I don't know, Red Dead, probably rated M.
Yeah.
I wouldn't stop them. I'd just be like, have fun, kiddo. I'd tousle their hair. I'd give them a lollipop and I'd send them on their way.
As a kid/teen, I was like, wow, I can really get away with something here. Just reading the most vile stuff in the middle of class and no one questions it. It's thank God he's reading and not on his PSP.
Yeah. Yeah. People were just happy that you were reading, so you could read the nastiest stuff.
Let's do one more quick little sweetie. From TBeaks15. Hey, MinnMaxers. If the Pokemon Company came to you to help design a new Pokemon for the upcoming DLC, what would the theme and general design of that Pokemon be?
Big question.
And think about, they're asking you in particular, because they know they want your personal perspective on life. They're like, we need this person in particular. What are you going to bring to the Pokemon franchise with your individual Pokemon?
I mean, there would be a special joy in tackling an animal that they haven't done a Pokemon of yet, and just doing kind of a straightforward like dolphin Pokemon or whatever. Maybe there is a dolphin Pokemon.
There is a straightforward dolphin.
Okay. But certainly there are animals they have not done straightforward Pokemon.
I don't take that
yet.
for granted.
I think there's got to be. There's so many animals.
Yeah. But I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think I would either do that. I'd be like, I want to be credited with the guy that gave them the chipmunk Pokemon or whatever. There's probably a chipmunk. But like, there's also, I kind of want to do the Klefki though too, or the garbage Pokemon, where it's just like the most absurd, impractical. Like Klefki is still one of my favorites. Like I remember I got to find Klefki because I reviewed the game before it was like public knowledge, and I was just like, oh my god, I caught a ring of keys and it's a Pokemon. Gosh, I kind of want to make that like maybe a drum set. It's just a drum set.
That's cool. That's I would love to catch your drum set. Yeah,
I like a drum set. That one's. I'm thinking like I love ghost Pokemon, so I would want to make a ghost Pokemon, and I think you make a great point, Kyle, where adapting an animal is a really good one. So I think it'd be cool to make like a possum ghost Pokemon, since they are known for like playing dead. I think that would be cool, where like the first evolution is just a possum and the second evolution is a ghost Pokemon possum. And it's kind of like, it's kind of sad.
I love that.
They just wrote that down. Like that, a ghost Pokemon, that possum that plays dead, like that. You just willed that into existence. That's got to happen. Man.
Yeah. Be pretty cute.
I think Pokemon actually does a pretty good job of like they've covered most of the animal bases at this point. I think what they could do more of is combining two animals in a freaky way.
Ooh.
Like, I'm just looking at your shark in the background, Jenna, so this is not creative, but like what if there's a bird shark, you know? Like we should just be shoving two animals together, because that's kind of, I mean, that's when you have a Pokemon that is just like, you know, a seal named Seal, or the dolphin Pokemon that's just kind of a dolphin. Like that's when I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's cute. I don't hate it. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I wish I was getting more out of this. And I do think it takes both kinds. Like you got to have some normal ones, but yeah, we should be shoving more animals together, I think.
I agree. I would like to do an evolved form of Missing No. Called Found Yes.
What does it look like?
Well, Missing No was kind of like mosaic, blurred, random pixels,
Corrupted data.
right?
Yeah.
Corrupted data.
Yeah.
So Found Yes would kind of be like, here's what Missing No actually looked like, and it would just be like a handsome guy in a business casual outfit.
Okay. I don't know why that's exactly what I pictured too, like a human being, just a beautifully rendered human.
And he would just say Found Yes. The only thing is he wouldn't talk.
That is
because he says his name, right?
Yeah.
Besides that, he's totally just a guy.
What's the canon of Missing No? Is it like it's not?
It's just a glitch.
There's no canon. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
he's not non.
It stands for missing number. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I know that element. And I googled it to see its picture, and I was like, oh, I know what you guys are talking about. But I wasn't sure if it had been like sort of accepted at some point. Like Pokemon Company was like, let's let this one in. This one's weird.
No,
they hate it.
They have never.
It would be really cool if
like,
they did.
Yeah.
Just like they should have put Mew under the truck in like the remakes of, you know, in Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu or something. Like I wish they were doing more acknowledging of that kind of stuff. It would be so much fun.
Yeah.
I was thinking like mine would be very, very like gross. My goal would be to like make the grossest Pokemon. And like here's the gimmick, right? It'll die in 3 turns if you just leave it alone. But most people just attack it, right? Every time you attack it, it resets its turn. You know what I mean? They can't help themselves. They have to. It's just so gross and vile that they have to go like hit it. It's like, I'm gonna live 3 more turns because you hit me. If you just leave me alone, I'll die in 3 turns. But nobody can do it.
Is it really sick? Is it like sickly? Is that why it's gonna die in 3 turns?
Yeah. It's just like bubbling and hairy.
Is it just like an emaciated Pikachu? It's just like really skinny. Its tail is droopy.
There's a ROM hack of Pokemon.
PETA?
I think of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire called, oh God, what is it called? Pokemon Snakewood. And it's like a zombie apocalypse Pokemon game. And it's very clearly like written in the mid 2000s, and it doesn't hold up very well, like it from a, you know, from a writing perspective, but like the game is about zombie Pokemon, and so you will run into like Bulbasaur and like all of these just zombified, and that part is kind of fun. And at some point in the game, spoilers for a very old ROM hack, but you will run into a trainer that has actually.
They just put it on Switch, Kelsey.
You'll run into a trainer that is actually like cut up and sewn a bunch of different Pokemon together, and it literally just says a monster. Like, it's all in like Pokemon Ruby graphics, so it's not like graphic in any way, but it's I don't know.
I do like the idea of a Mimikyu or a Ditto-esque monster that is just a lot of Pokemon sewn together, and so it's like, I don't know what I am. It'd be pretty good.
Is there something in like a monster made out of pockets somehow? It's just all like kangaroo pockets.
What you're suggesting?
Imagine a thing. How do you make anything out of pockets?
Look, this is not for me to solve. I'm just an idea person.
So like,
I just want a pocket monster in Pokemon is what I'm getting at.
Oh my God, it was a pun.
It was a pun all along.
Don't overthink it.
Oh no.
It was a pun all along. Okay, we need to determine the best question of the week. What are we feeling? What are we vibing with this week?
I like the library one. And the one about game length.
I like the one about game length. I think y'all had interesting insight into that. I hadn't thought much about.
Yeah, game length. I like that one too.
Let's do it.
Cool. Luca Alberti, thanks for your question. Congratulations on bringing the question of the week to the MinnMax show. It is now time, of course, for Get a Load of This!
Oh, God. Intense.
This is the segment where everyone in this panel brings to the table an interesting thing that they have seen and observed this week and want to share. Who's got a load?
I can go. I got a quick one.
Sure.
Hey, get a load of this. I'm looking at what platforms it came on. There was this game that came out 2010, Mario Sports Mix. It was
DS?
No, it was Wii, it looks like, and Wii U, apparently, it says, according to Wikipedia, which I didn't realize there was a Wii U version. But it was like, there was Mario Soccer, Mario Basketball, all these things. This was like a collection of a few different sports games. Volleyball, basketball, looks like hockey is in there too. Which, a forgettable game, whatever. I don't know if it was particularly popular, but it was made by Square Enix, and as a result, it actually has Final Fantasy bosses in it. So in this Mario Sports Mix game, you can fight against Behemoth from Final Fantasy and characters like that. Like you play dodgeball with Behemoth from Final Fantasy as like the final boss of the game, which was really caught me by surprise. I didn't realize there were Final Fantasy cameos in this Mario sports game that I completely forgot about. So
there were also amiibo cards for this game, which I think nobody I don't even know. They're probably like incredibly rare, and I have no idea if they're worth anything right now because who is using Mario Sports Mix amiibo cards? But
I don't know. But I just thought that was cool that there were Final Fantasy boss cameos in this Mario sports game on the
I think
Wii.
you can play as something. You can like play as the White Mage too. I think there's a Chocobo in there. Yeah, I think Square Enix like developed it, right?
Yeah, Square Enix developed it, which is why they snuck all that stuff in there.
What drew you to that game this week?
I just saw a video, which will be my link, is that of someone playing the boss fight against Behemoth, and I was like, why was Behemoth from Final Fantasy in a Mario sports game? It just like totally.
So it was a very good
attention.
thumbnail, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also, I just realized I'm wrong. That's the Mario Sports Superstars, which I think is the Wii U 3DS one that has the amiibo cards, which I didn't realize they had separate names. I thought it was all the same thing. But
yeah, I would have assumed the same thing. This is Mario Sports Mix.
All right, I can go. Get a load of this. There is a Sanrio character that was created in 1978 called Big Challenges, which is just a very adorable, crudely drawn crocodile. And he's never like made an appearance in anything. As far as I know, there's no merch of him. He's just kind of a character they created and stuck in their little like Bible of characters. And he finally made an appearance in the new Hello Kitty Island Adventure game.
As what?
So he's... What's that?
How is he integrated?
He just kind of shows up. I haven't actually played to see him yet. I just saw the screenshot of him in it. And, he's introduced and what does his description say? Hang on. Big Challenges mysteriously disappeared years ago, waiting to be discovered by a wandering adventurer. Not much is known about this elusive gator.
Oh, cool.
So sorry, he's an alligator, not a crocodile. But
and his name is Big Challenge?
Really Big Challenges, yeah.
Cool.
Challenges is really good.
Yeah, and so he's finally
Yeah.
canonized. Like he's just been existing for a long time with no representation, and now he's somewhere.
That's a great name.
Yeah. Big Challenges.
I couldn't find the Hitman comment that was so wise, but I found a different one for my Get a Load of This. It was for
Is
a
this
post
another
where...
one of your own Reddit posts then?
No, this is someone else's.
Okay.
But a similar topic on the Hitman subreddit. Would be really nice if IO made these unlockable and other unique outfits, and it's like some of the goofier outfits from the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a comment with 90 downvotes that says, "Do you dress up like this every day? If you want to look like a clown, this game isn't for you." And then the first reply is, "There's literally a clown suit."
It's pretty good.
And how many upvotes on that?
84.
Are you one of them?
I'm proud to admit, I'm one of them. That up arrow's orange, baby.
My get a load of this is I don't have anything because I was away all weekend in Chicago. But my get a load of this is if you're in Chicago, you should do an architecture tour. I was told by people in the MinnMax Discord that would be a cool thing to do, and I did one that was on a boat. And you boat around the river, you look at the tall buildings, and somebody's like, "Hey, check out how tall that building is," and it's great.
Jealous.
That sounds pretty good.
It's good.
When I did the same thing, Jenna, and what was so cool, I don't know if you had the same thing, is like the person who did the tour was like a volunteer who is extremely passionate about architecture.
Yeah, I think that's
Same
about
kind
what
of
it
thing
was. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. It's just like, oh, this is just somebody purely doing this because they love Chicago and love all of the work that went into the architecture behind all these super old, very nice looking buildings.
Yeah, and I tend to, when I see a tall building, I tend to glaze over my eyes. I'm just like, yeah, it's a big, tall building, and there's a lot of people in there, probably. So it was nice to have somebody be like, no, look at the materials that this is made out of. This is a Beaux-Arts tower, and it has such and such. And it's like, oh, there are details here that I would have absolutely ignored because I didn't care. So it was nice to have somebody be like, no, it's interesting, and I'm telling you it's interesting.
You thought you didn't care.
Yeah, and I was wrong.
You do.
Here's one from the Discord. There's a whole channel called Get a Load of This on the Discord, and I was scrolling through it, and I saw HumanMax's own Janet Garcia on a podcast called The Indie Council, which I guess is a regular podcast that she does. So yeah, check out the Indie Informer's Indie Council podcast, where Jill Grote accidentally asks a not safe for work question. That's the tease.
Interesting. Good tease.
Yeah. And then my own personal one, How To with John Wilson season 3 is rolling on HBO and Max. It's a show about a guy who just constantly records everything throughout his life in New York City and then finds parallels and connections in life. But also I think the show is about like the power of saying yes to questions and also the power of just asking if you can do something. Because he'll walk to a person and ask them and learn about their life and then also say like, can you show me that thing? And then they just say yes because he's holding a camera and he works for HBO. Like it wouldn't work for most of us, but still it's about the power of yes, something that I find pretty interesting. So I do recommend that show.
I love that show, and I did not know there was a third season happening, so thank you.
It's been good so far too. It's just killing it. Now time for plugs and promotions. What's everybody got going on in the near future in your promotional lives?
I'll go first because I've got so many. Because this is my last week doing MinnMax stuff covering for Ben. Yeah. And so here are my personal promos, which is that I stream on Twitch at _Jenna, doing a lot of Baldur's Gate right now, obviously. And that's a very good, chill, fun time. I've got a actual play podcast called Burnt Cookbook Party. You can find us at BCB Party pretty much everywhere. And that's really funny. It's set in a time loop. It's a comedy. And sometimes it hits hard because we're all just really funny people. And I do video essays on YouTube at _Jenna. So youtube.com/@the_Jenna. I also have a streaming VOD channel. You can find that somewhere on the internet. I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok at the_Jenna. All of my links you can find at linktree/thejenna. You can find a ton of links there. Yeah, so I'll be back. This is the last week for me, so I'll see you all, I guess, on the internet somewhere. And I did also, the last thing I wanted to do was shout out Ben Hansen, because I'm not even doing all of the work that Ben Hansen does, because Ben Hansen does all of the like digital technical stuff and hosts at the same time, and that's buck wild. It is wild the amount of work that Ben does to keep this thing floating. And so when he comes back, just shout him out and let him know how much you appreciate him. And also thank you, MinnMax community, for being so welcoming to me coming in here and doing tech stuff and being so chill about that transition. You've all been such an absolute delight, and I was happy to be here. That's my plug.
Great work, Jenna. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, no,
I think I
it's been
speak
great.
for
Killed it.
all of us when I say you should come back sometimes and be around, because we like you.
I would love to. We'll see.
It'll be a whole different experience without having to press buttons and do levers and meters and stuff.
Yeah, all the trap doors that I have to reset after every show. Ugh.
I do have a official MinnMax promotion, actually, to get everybody excited for the Armored Core 6 Deepest Dive. Jacob Geller is assembling a team of people who are highly interested in talking about that game every week. You can join the MinnMax Patreon to contribute, ask questions, and basically what Deepest Dive is I'm going to get this description right. Hansen calls it like the most developed conversation about any game on a given week.
Most thorough, I think is what he says.
Yeah.
No, we changed it to that yesterday, though.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah. But yeah, basically the idea is like, if you want a thorough conversation, if you want to hear a podcast that is about only one game, a chunk at a time, like a book club style, Deepest Dive is that show for you. And there is one coming for Armored Core 6 in the near future. Check out patreon.com/MinnMax, 2 N's.
And if you're a Minnesota local, Ben and Sarah and I will be hosting a panel at 2DCon on Saturday, August 26th at 2 p.m. It's going to be a video game spelling bee with prizes, and I'm really excited about it.
That's fun. Oh, I'm also going to be at PAX West. I forgot to mention I'm doing panels at PAX West too. Sorry, go on.
I'll be at PAX West as well.
Yeah.
Nice. Are you doing panels too?
No, but my store has a big booth, so go see the Pink Gorilla booth. It is going to be near the Pokemon booth, I believe. Last time I looked at the booth placement, PAX is weird this year because we just opened a second convention center that's basically like 2 blocks down from the one it's normally in. We're in the old convention center and the one that you've been doing PAX at for years. And apparently so are some other very big booths. So that's where like the esports stuff is. That's where Pokemon is. That's where Nintendo Live is as well, if you got tickets to that.
Weird.
So I have no idea what to expect. But yeah, come see me at the Pink Gorilla booth. I will be there all week.
Is it you put mostly games in there, or do you have like cool Pink Gorilla merch?
Yes and yes, and cool. Like cool plushies and keychains and stuff. We import all of it from Japan, so we have a lot of really like, cool Pokemon plush you can't get anywhere else. I mean, I know the internet exists now, but you can't buy it at your local Target or stores or whatever. So we got cool stuff.
And then Jenna, if I wanted to find out which panels you are hosting, what would be the easiest way for me to find those?
On the PAX West website. The only one that's scheduled right now is I'm doing a panel show with basically just a bunch of Giant Bomb people. So it's me and 4 Giant Bomb people. I'm hosting a panel show with them on Friday, 8 to 9 p.m. in one of the theaters. Saturday, I'm going to be doing a debate club style show, but the details of that are not locked down. And then Sunday, I'll be on the Jackbox panel playing new Jackbox games.
That's so cool.
Very hype.
Nice.
And then I'm so sorry, Leo, you're doing a spelling bee? Who's picking the words?
We are.
You're picking the words for each other?
For people from the crowd.
Oh,
we did it a few years ago, apparently.
Okay. I thought it was just a thing.
Spelling bee works, Kyle?
No, it's for the crowd. I think the idea is that it's like, we don't think we could fill a room with just Q&A. We want to do something fun that everybody there could enjoy. They don't necessarily have to know who we are. And apparently we did it a few years ago and it was really fun, but I wasn't there.
Yeah, it's like video game terms, right? Usually.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like some are easy, some are less easy, as you can imagine. And then people
Cloud.
go, you get in line and you walk up and you try to spell, and if you get it wrong, you're out of the line. If you get it right, you go back to the end of the line and make your way up front again, and you get prizes. Yeah, it was cool. When we did it a couple years ago.
Cute. What's the prize?
I don't know.
Okay.
But all Hansen does is collect things that would be cool for people to get for like things like this and Extra Life. So I'm sure there's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. As for myself, I do stream 3 times a week, twitch.tv/Kyle Bosman, 1S. YouTube.com/Kyle Bosman if you're interested in looking at my weekly series Delayed Input. However, both those things I'm not going to do for a minute because I'm going to Gamescom this weekend. And I will be hosting the pre-show for Gamescom Opening Night Live on Tuesday. So the advertised start time is like 2 p.m. Eastern time. Like a half hour before that, there will be a little pre-show rolled in, hosted by me.
And Kyle, thank you for hosting the MinnMax show these last couple of weeks. It's been a great time.
It's been very fun. Yeah. A rough start, obviously, but I've learned a lot. I've learned what apotheosis means. I've learned so many things.
Olfactory.
Yeah, olfactory.
How spelling bees work.
That explains why I did so bad before. But yeah, matcha is not is a different thing from mocha. Yeah, incredible knowledge in my mind now. And yeah, actually, the same thing, Jenna, where it's like I really feel like I was intimidated by the MinnMax community coming in. They seemed like a bunch of towel washers, and I've learned. You know what I mean? For 3 weeks in a row, I've washed my bath towel. It does feel good. So it's been nice to like learn to incorporate my own personality into the MinnMax community. And, I have felt very welcomed.
Good.
Yeah, it's been great to have you. Yeah, it's full circle for Summer Game Fest. You're in the vlog introducing Jeff Keighley at the big press event.
Watched that clip, and I really appreciated you laughing at my bit.
I enjoyed it very much.
It was like a super dry bit where I tell the audience they can't have drinks or something, and I point at them.
Yeah, don't spill your drinks.
Yeah.
As if it's something people are planning on doing. Enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thank you for laughing at that bit. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Cool. Ben Hansen back next week. Big episode. Until then, everyone, be good, have fun. Let's go.